The bustling streets, alive with the usual flow of traffic, were filled with the typical daily hustle and bustle. But then, the traffic lights began to emit strange electrical arcs, their light flickering in the blink of an eye. People on the sidewalks, oblivious to the anomaly, continued their walk. Amidst the crowded road, someone's vision suddenly darkened as they stared at the ground. He raised both hands, speechless and shocked. The surroundings were eerily peaceful and beautiful, making the person feel disoriented. Where? Kang In's eyes widened. The young man stood frozen in the middle of the street, wondering where he was. He glanced back. A passing bus reflected his face in its windows. Even seeing his own reflection, he showed no emotion. Who am I? What's my name? Kang In continued to be bewildered. Then, he began to pay attention to his own body. The young man gently touched himself and noticed a familiar logo. This outfit, even the remaining sleeve bore a similar image. Isn't this military gear? The vast, expansive sky mirrored his vague emotions. His name, what he was doing, and where he was. He looked upward, questions swirling in his mind. He couldn't remember. Suddenly, his eyes brightened. A noise. Kang In quickly balled his fist and shifted his stance, preparing to strike. His punch radiated immense power as he unleashed it. Kang In then aimed his fist at a tree in front of him, splitting it in two. Birds on the tree scattered in alarm. The young man himself was astonished by his own strength. The passers-by were horrified at the sight of the deformed tree. Smoke enveloped Kang In's fist even as he stopped. His instincts, by nature, were sensitive to sound. He opened his hand, but what was this power? Just then, a strange voice echoed in his mind. It's a pleasure to meet you. The young man looked around, but there was no one. I am the combat system AI implanted in your body. He glanced at his ear and replied, Implanted? In my body? Ji In immediately responded, that is correct. I am within your body. Kang In immediately asked a question. Where are we, and what year is it? The system quickly answered, based on the analysis of various signs in your field of vision, it appears to be Seoul in 2024. Global Future Talent Development Project, Nurturing Global Leaders in 2024 Elementary School Warm Sports Day. Goodbye Arcasmo, the story of baby Albagast Alistar. 2024 Family Culture Festival, toward a Grand Festival, come play at the Pori Grand Festival 2024. And it introduced itself, I am a military AI model from 2082. Kang In was surprised, 2082? How is that possible? He crossed his arms and made a deduction, so, I am a person from the future who has traveled to the past. Ji In vaguely replied, according to my data, my memory has been reset, and I cannot retrieve any operational information. At that moment, the traffic lights went completely dark. So, you also lost your memory like me. The cheerful driver was still humming a tune, but then he realized something was wrong. He gasped in horror. The traffic lights. The driver immediately slammed on the brakes. The sudden stop of the truck startled the vehicles behind it. The Ji In system suddenly blurted out, warning. The car swerved and headed straight for him. Collision imminent. Kang In still stood in a daze. Get out of the way. The car crashed into the guardrail on the side of the road, and a metal rod flew out. The sharp point of the rod flew straight toward Kang In. Warning, a dangerous object is approaching. The young man's body remained unresponsive. He leaned to the side, dodging the rod but accidentally causing it to hit someone behind him. Kang In was startled once again. The horrifying screams of the passers-by echoed. A metal rod pierced his abdomen. The unfortunate person lay writhing on the ground. Call 911. People rushed over. Are you okay? A citizen has been injured. Please open your eyes. Kang In's vision blurred as he closed his eyes. He rubbed his eyes, feeling strange. I just saw something red and blue. What was that? Ji In spoke. Those are projections from the visual support device, a feature of the R lens. Then, he opened his eyes again. Relieved. Thank God I dodged it. However, the unfortunate person's condition was deteriorating. An innocent civilian could die within 5 minutes. Kang In immediately asked the system, there's no way to get him to the emergency room within 5 minutes. Is there any way to save him? It offered an idea. I suggest you perform emergency surgery. What? Me? I can't do that. Ji In firmly affirmed, I can. He rolled his eyes. You? How? Ji In began to give instructions. First, we need to assess the patient's condition. Kang In looked at the person in front of him and muttered, the patient's condition. His eyebrows furrowed. He had so many questions, but the young man quickly sat down beside the person. In an emergency, a life was still the most important thing. He carefully examined the spot where the rod was impaled. A look of concern appeared on his face. The wound is deep. This looks like it requires major surgery. Can you really do it? Ji-in had already completed the analysis. I have identified the necessary tools. If we have needles, thread, a small knife, and disinfectant, we can perform the surgery. Kang-in whispered to himself, needles, thread, a small knife, and disinfectant. You can perform surgery with just those? The young man looked at him. Excuse me, can you perform emergency care? He offered, can I help? Despite his doubts, Kang-in said, can I really trust this AI system? I need needles, thread, a small knife, and disinfectant. Immediately, they mobilized around. Does anyone have needles, thread, a small knife, and disinfectant? I do. I have those too. The supplies were laid out on a white sheet, attracting the curiosity of passers-by. Who is that guy? Is he a doctor? They didn't trust him and were gossiping. He doesn't look like a doctor at all. What's he planning to do? Kang-in remained silent amid the whispers. Will he get infected and die if he performs surgery with those things? The pressure weighed on his shoulders, making him feel uneasy. Kang-in tried to lower his voice to talk to the system. We have all the supplies, but now what? It responded, give me temporary control so I can control your hands. He heard of this for the first time. Temporary control? The other person coughed up blood, making him even more urgent. I really want to ask what this is, but if I do, this person will die. I authorize it. The system manifested at his command. Temporary control unlocked. A mysterious force flowed into Kang-in's hands. His eyes lit up, and he could feel it. Each muscle in his hand moved chaotically. My hands, they're moving on their own. Kang-in pulled out the metal rod and tossed it to the ground. He picked up a needle and bent its sharp tip. The movements were incredibly adept as he threaded the needle. My fingers can move nimbly and gently, remarkably so. Kang-in focused on sewing up the wound. At this speed, I think the surgery will be successful. But then Ji-in reported bad news. Warning, blood loss is greater than expected, survival rate is decreasing. The young man was worried. What? Hey, are you sure you can save him? Ji-in suddenly fell silent, making him even more anxious. Wait, why aren't you answering? His hand, which was stitching the wound, suddenly froze. A bead of sweat dripped down his face. My hands stopped moving. Hey, who? Before he could finish speaking, a mouthful of blood splattered out. The injured person continued vomiting blood. Kang-in frowned slightly and thought, this is bad. The emergency center at Sant Forest University Hospital resounded with hurried voices. Emergency patient incoming. Patient has lost a significant amount of blood. Prepare the operating room immediately. Understood. The emergency room lit up, and the treatment began. After a while, a doctor emerged from inside. Those waiting outside had already gathered. Finished yet? How's the patient doing? He accepted a glass of water and said, stabilized. The other doctor was curious. Good. Isn't this injury less serious than we thought? The one who had performed the surgery still looked shocked. No. I opened him up. I was so scared. If I hadn't stopped the bleeding sooner, he might have died before the ambulance even arrived. He affirmed, there was definitely a lot of blood but most of it has been dealt with. His colleague was even more surprised. So, what's the problem? The doctor recounted what he had seen. He only stitched it up with ordinary thread. He stitched both the inside and outside with thread. The other exclaimed, what? With thread? The surgeon continued, the kind used for sewing clothes, but there was something even more extraordinary. The way Ji-in stopped the bleeding left something incredible. The stitches are astonishingly uniform, like they were done by machine, not a human. The other doctor raised his glasses and assessed, that's absurd. His colleague shared the same thought, I can't believe it either, but it's the truth. Just then, a third person appeared in the hospital lobby. Hello. Ki-young came forward to fulfill his mission. I am Detective Park Ki-young, in charge. How is the patient? The doctor reported back, you've come at the right time. The patient's condition is stable. They still wanted to confirm something. Was the surgery really performed on the street? Ki-young replied, I was also surprised. He recounted what had happened. It's clear the civilians offered surgical knives, but instead, he used a box cutter. A box cutter? The two doctors shouted simultaneously. Huh? Ki-young was bewildered, not knowing anything about the medical field. Is that difficult? The surgeon exclaimed, of course. This isn't the kind of surgery that can be easily performed on the street. The situation became more and more beyond their imagination. Do you mean a box cutter can cut or perform surgery on the human body? Is he a master swordsman or something? Ki-young was also helpless, but the people standing there all said that. The other continued to ask, then what about the needles? What kind of needles did he use? Ki-young rubbed his chin and answered, he bent a needle from a sewing kit. Just thinking about that scene made the doctors shudder. Crazy. They were curious about Kang-in's identity. Where's the person who performed the surgery now? However, the person in charge reported, he left quietly after completing the surgery, before the ambulance arrived. The three stood looking at each other without a word. The scene shifted to a plain brick house. Kang In took off his gloves and washed away the bloodstains. You suddenly stopped. I thought you were giving up. Ji In replied to him, I was just calculating how the surgery should continue. After that, he turned off the faucet and continued to question. So, why did you lose your memory? Ji In could only speculate. It appears that my memory has been reset. He probed deeper into the system. Do you remember your name? Ji In replied, it hasn't been set yet. Kang In decided on this matter. Alright, then I'll give you a name. Precisely. What are you? It presented a concept, I am an AI assisting combat, implanted into the host's body. The young man pondered for a moment and came up with an idea. An AI assisting combat. To put it simply, Joan Ji In, he declared to the system, from now on, your name is Joan Ji In. Kang In looked at it. Why aren't you saying anything? Ji In reacted now, my name has been set as Joan Ji In. If you wish to change it, please let me know, and I will reset it immediately. He wondered to himself, should I change the name to Black Dragon? But it immediately rejected, no, Joan Ji In is good enough. Kang In walked out with the response. So fast to respond. Now, his attention returned to himself. There is an embroidery on my hand with the words Earth Alliance. The system explained, that is a special operational military uniform designed specifically for members of the Earth Alliance. He offered a hypothesis, let's assume I am a special agent who has lost his memory. They went outside with a question. And you were created in 2082, so why are we in 2024? Ji In couldn't give him an answer. There isn't enough information to determine anything. Kang In wondered, can't you gather information from the internet? Ji In enlightened him further, impossible. The input and output data have been restricted to avoid the risk of being hacked. He wanted to know more about it. So, how do you input data? Ji In gave an example. I gather information through the host's senses. The visual, auditory, olfactory, and tactile input is immediately shared with the AI. Next, the data is analyzed to Joan Ji In, and the information is stored. For example, if the host finds a certain dish delicious, I will also have a similar feeling. To be more specific, it tended toward support. Information was transmitted through the body and voice. However, I still need permission to temporarily control, and I'm only allowed to support the necessary situation in combat. In addition, this high-level system also had weaknesses. There are also some things I cannot do. Although I can help with aiming, I cannot attack directly. Kang In understood after hearing it. So, you can only provide support in combat? To gather information about why we are here, I must experience everything through the body. Ji In agreed with him. That is correct. The young man looked up and thought, so, the first mission. They went to a building that was only a few stories high. Kang In looked up at the building. He was very certain of his own thoughts. I bet we can gather a lot of information there. This time, it was Ji In's turn to be curious. Did the host regain his memory? Of course, that was unlikely. No, that is common knowledge. The problem is, we need money to get in there. The young man pulled out his two empty pockets, and I don't have a penny. I have to earn 10,000 won first. Should I sing or do something like that? He turned and walked down the road. Can you sing for me? The system responded immediately. Because it may be needed in the field, I can provide support. Its wording made him confused, but he still agreed. In the field, all right, I authorize temporary control. Now, Kang In appeared with a spoon in his hand. He had carefully covered his face. Kang In looked unhappy. You prepared everything carefully, huh? Using a spoon as a microphone. Is singing really necessary in combat? Ji In could still give him a reasonable explanation. This is a self-introduction feature to boost the morale of the troops on the battlefield. He looked to the side. That makes sense. But why do we have to sing here? The place where he stood had a band that was making a splash nearby. How can I sing against those people? The music from their performance filled the space with excitement. Ji In confidently said, if the host demonstrates skills superior to the singers over there, that'll attract attention. Kang In thought of the embarrassing scene. In other words, attention will be guaranteed. He quietly called it, hey, Joan, I know you're amazing, but don't overdo it. You'll just make me look like a fool. Ji In ignored his words and went straight to the point. The performance begins. Kang In was upset with it. What's wrong with you? An old, flimsy foam box was placed on the ground to collect money. His body remained motionless, but in fact, it had just moved. Kang In took a deep breath. He began to sing and made those around him pay attention. The gentle melody flowed through their ears. Some people had begun to be attracted. That's my favorite song. He raised his hand and gave a thumbs up. Is this pose correct? It still persuaded him. Attracting the audience is essential. His voice is really good. But that person, why is he only singing the chorus? Kang In also stopped abruptly. In explained the question, this song is a section I heard on our way here, so there is no beginning or end. However, they had received a lot of money in the box, and the minimum amount of money had been guaranteed. He picked up the phone box and was satisfied. Well done, let's get out of here quickly. Kang In quickly slipped away from the spot, ignoring the cheers of sing more. After escaping, Kang In walked along, holding the box of money. Joan Ji In, the young man stated a problem. If we go there, we'll find a lot of information. Information about the Earth Alliance, our purpose, and so on. But what if we don't find anything? It offered a plan. The top priority is to infiltrate the local environment discreetly and integrate naturally. After that, we must find a way to contact the command center. They headed toward the building. Discreet infiltration. Kang In approached it step by step. A paper was taped to the wall, announcing an important message. Hiring at the Internet Cafe. Requires identification card and resume. Preference given to those with experience. His eyes immediately lit up. We have found a way to infiltrate discreetly. They even provide food for the employees. Next to them was a very attractive advertisement. If the host successfully infiltrates the PC room, both the information gathering and food provision problems will be solved. The Internet Cafe on the 4th floor serves food and desserts. Apply now. The two of them agreed and immediately went up the stairs. As he walked, he continued the conversation with Ji In. We will ask if we can stay there temporarily while we are hired. We need a place to sleep tonight. If we can get a place to live, food, and clothes, it's good. But another problem arose. Wait, we haven't prepared any clothes. The system quickly suggested, there is a solution. His clothes lit up. The host's uniform has a camouflage feature. Using special threads that memorize shapes can change into various different clothing styles. The function was extremely diverse. The outfit can be disassembled into multiple pieces. You can also change the style and reassemble it into different forms. Kang In was interested and touched the sleeve. Let's try it. He rustled on the stairs for a while to assemble the clothes. Finally, the young man finished it. However, the result was a bit bizarre. Ji In was speechless. He even commented on himself, it looks like the clothes of those singers we saw before. Why aren't you saying anything? Just then, two people came down from below. Even if it's an internet cafe next door, what is this outfit? I give up. Of course, they immediately saw the person above. The three of them stood still and looked at each other for a few minutes. The faces of the two people were pale then flushed in fear. Kang In still looked at them indifferently without finding anything wrong. The two guests gently passed him and turned away. Then they continued to go up the next floor in silence. The terrible mood was very clear, even though they were a distance away from him. Kang In looked at the two weary backs and pondered. Then he came to a conclusion. They seem to be scared of this outfit of mine. Ji In immediately agreed. That's right. He was still very naive. Why are you all so scared? All right, let me do it again. The stairwell resounded with tearing sounds. After a moment, he went up the stairs with a simpler outfit than before. Now? The system was satisfied with it. Perfect. This is a great choice for an agent. He confidently opened the door at the entrance. All right, let's go. Looking around, something very lively was going on here. Kang In carefully glanced around here. The system automatically carried out the command, scanning the room. It gave statistics very quickly. 96% of current users are playing games. The people around are all focused on their computers and playing. Verified the utilities, verified the payment methods. It also skimmed through the food area. Reviewed the food condition. The workrooms here are also neat and clean. Determined a suitable location for temporary accommodation. The Ji In system immediately reported, this place is the optimal location for the host's current situation. He whispered to it, all right. In the internet cafe, some young people were making a lot of noise because of the game. What are those bots doing? Dongziok faced him and questioned, you want to apply for a job? He wasn't very welcoming. You don't have a resume or an identification card. He replied, yes. That attitude also surprised him. So confident. Then the manager yawned loudly. You can write your resume here as long as you bring your identification card tomorrow. I can let you work in the position that is missing. He had already communicated everything. I can only do that. He obediently listened. Yes. Dongzio quickly assessed him with his eyes. Not bad, but... To him, the person in front of him seemed quite passive. You didn't come here just to sit and waste time, did you? You have a handsome face, but you look like the type of person who only knows how to eat instant noodles. He then set out another requirement. Do you know how to use a deep fryer? We also sell food here, so you also need to know how to use it. Ji-in immediately reported, I have combat cooking skills to manage the soldiers' food situation. Kang-in also nodded in response, I can do it. The manager was curious about his abilities. Oh, really? Then try making fried rice and see. Welcome, sir. He immediately accepted, okay. He stayed to serve customers, and he turned and went inside. Is there a private room here? We don't have those here. Very quickly he saw the kitchen and looked around. The objects here were recorded by the system, and the ingredients to make the fried rice had been memorized. Before starting, he carefully instructed, Joan Ji-in, do you know how to make fried rice? Make it delicious. It immediately did it, starting the combat cooking tactic, requesting temporary hand control. His hand lit up when the command was issued. Accepted. Knives, plates, and tools were placed on the table very neatly. The young man opened the refrigerator very quickly. He took out a few stalks of green onions and sausages. Kang-in closed his eyes to let his body relax, somehow. Each hand held one thing and made a few skillful moves. His body could move rhythmically as if recalling how to make this dish. Dongseok heard the noise behind him and also paid attention. Just as he looked over, he saw him chopping the green onions as fast as the wind. What? The aura emanating from Kang-in shocked him. I thought he would only fry some frozen rice, but he is cooking it from scratch. 3 plates of food were beautifully arranged on the table. That? The fried rice was covered with a layer of golden color and placed on the plate. How is that possible? He also decorated it with a piece of fried egg to make it more complete. So fast. Kang-in picked up the plate of rice and offered it. Finished. The manager was stunned as he received it. I couldn't even see his movements. He still couldn't stop convincing himself. No, fast or not doesn't matter. What's important is whether the taste is good or not. He cooked too fast. It's definitely not cooked thoroughly. He scooped a small spoonful of rice. Too rushed. Let me try. The manager quickly put it in his mouth to enjoy it. He started to chew and feel the flavor in his mouth. Kang-in patiently waited but was still worried. Is it bad? I tasted it too. Dongseok's eyebrows slightly furrowed. A bit of rice still lingered on his mouth as he chewed. Dongseok quickly put the spoon down on the counter. Unacceptable. His mood was so happy that he was about to fly to the sky. Hey, miss, give me a bottle of soju. Wait, this is an internet cafe, you know. He kept patting his shoulder and praising. For a moment, I thought I was in my favorite bar. It suddenly makes me want to drink. At this moment, a girl wearing an apron came over. Sir, what are you talking about in the middle of the day? Seeing her, Dongseok became more enthusiastic. This is my granddaughter, Cha Yoon-seo. She's also an employee here. Yoon-seo immediately recognized him. Is that you? Are you the singer performing in the park outside? Kang-in was discovered, so he was very surprised. How did you know? The girl looked at him with admiration. With a voice like that, why are you working in an internet cafe? Kang-in replied, I am good at singing and many other things. Ji-in quietly objected in his head, it's me. I'm the one who is good. He whispered to it, shut up. Yoon-seo was surprised. What? But the young man denied it. Not you. The manager smiled as brightly as a flower. I am very happy that there is a guy here who knows how to cook. Yoon-seo can't even cook pre-made food. She always burns or spills something. The girl was embarrassed to the point of exploding. Sir, don't say any more. Dongseok began to ask him many more things. Do you have any preferred work hours? Lunch? Dinner? Kang-in also put forward his conditions. I like to work part-time. I only want to work at specific times and I want those working hours to be flexible. He pointed into the cafe and suggested, also, I see there is a storage room here. Can I stay there temporarily while working? I am thinking of staying there for a while working. Yoon-seo's grandfather was surprised. What, you don't have a home? Because he couldn't explain it, he temporarily gave an answer, it's a bit difficult to say. Hearing this, he was a little disappointed. All difficult conditions, but he is too good to be fired. But his spirit was very quickly boosted. The internet cafe next door is becoming famous because there is good food there. I must be better. I must take this opportunity to create a reputation for my own food. He held up 2 fingers and continuously offered numerous offers. Okay, I will let you stay in the storage room. You will also get free food and drinks, plus double the salary for a week. He was still talking, but that's only if the food you make increases sales. But his mind was stuck on 2 words, double salary. From then on, they heard the tired calls of customers. Hey, Kim J.A. A girl with short hair followed her friend and complained, you have to eat first and then play. J.A., with her hands in her pockets, walked towards them. This internet cafe serves food, right? Eating here is fine. She looked unhappy, but the food in this cafe is bad. Suddenly, someone interrupted the conversation. Customers. Kang In's eyes showed the denominations of money. You should try the food first. He picked up the food stirring spoon and then affirmed, before deciding whether it is good or bad. The fried rice was once again cooked and placed on a plate. Yoon Seo and Dong Seok eagerly watched the pot. Hand me a plate, he said. The girl quickly grabbed it and ran over. Coming right up. The glistening dish, attracting all eyes, was finished. Already done? The eggs were perfectly fried as well. The manager ordered his granddaughter, Yoon Seo, quickly take it to the customers. The customer set down his headphones and commented, "Hey, that new employee is pretty bold, huh?" The girl was still dismissive. Is the food in this cafe really that good? That's absurd. JA was calmer. These times can be difficult for internet cafes, so they called for a dish. If it's not good, just... Before they could finish their exchange, Yoon Seo brought the dish. The fried rice is ready, ma'am and sir. This speed surprised the two. Already done? We haven't even started playing the game yet. She gently placed the dish down. Please enjoy your meal. JA seemed worried, but, we only ordered fried rice. Yoon Seo's mouth watered, but she still explained to them, it looks unusually expensive. Yes, that is what you ordered, please enjoy it. They looked at her suspiciously. Is the employee hungry? The two friends looked at each other. Let's try it. Each person scooped a mouthful into their mouth. Their spirits were given a great shock. The worldview of the customer changed very quickly. Suddenly, both of them became fat and were trying to run. In front of them was a piece of chicken thigh attached to a bicycle, which was moving away. Their hands reached very close to the meat, and they succeeded in snatching it back in their hands. The two hid behind a bush and shared the chicken while the driver exclaimed, "Where did the customers run off to?" Tears streamed down the girl's face. They were so moved they couldn't stop crying. The taste was still the same as before. The loud voices of the two attracted the other players around. It's insanely delicious. This place is definitely famous for fried rice. We'll order another plate. No, 2 more plates. They also became interested in the rice. It must be delicious. Should we try it? Arms at each table went up to signal, 2 plates for us too, me too. Yoon Seo ran back to the kitchen at top speed. She was both happy and hurried to report, oh my god, we have 12 more orders of fried rice at once. Dong Seok was shocked to the core. What, 12? He looked at the cook and asked, can you handle it? The sparkling gaze made him turn away temporarily. Hey, Joan, can you make 12 servings that are both delicious? Ji-in quickly responded. Of course. Combat cooking tactics in the field are basically a large-scale cooking formula. Providing delicious dishes is very important. Therefore, my dishes are basically delicious. The soldiers will feel frustrated if they have to eat poor quality food after risking their lives. He continued to pick up the knife. Impressive skills. I will give you control. Make 15 servings. It quickly carried out, understood. His clothes kept lighting up due to his skills. 3 hours passed. The manager now seemed about to fly. What's your name? He patted his shoulder while looking at the cash register. This sales volume in just 3 hours is amazing. Kang In still asked again. Double salary for a week is certain, right? He affirmed, of course. There is no hesitation. Keep it up. And the manager returned to the main question. So, what is your name? He pondered for a second and uttered a name, Na Kang In. He happily guided, all right, Na Kang In, let me tidy up the storage room for you, and I'll go stock up on more ingredients for you. So, please continue to work well. Meanwhile, his granddaughter had fallen to the ground, almost passing out from eating the remaining fried rice. Ji-in was curious. You remembered your name? He warned it. No, it just came out of my mouth. Use Na Kang In as your name until we remember your real name. The system also didn't ask any more. Understood. His work still wasn't finished when there were more requests. Mr. Kang In, we have many more fried rice orders. Can you handle it? The young man calmly said, okay. After work, he went back to his room and wondered, we have a place to stay, but... The next problem he needed to solve had arrived. To get the salary, I need an identification card. Can you hack into the database? It was very confident in its abilities. I can. I possess hacking skills from the early 21st century to the year 2082. He suddenly had an idea. So, at that level, you could probably hack into a bank too, right? Let's quit the internet cafe. But that intention was immediately rejected. Impossible. I only have hacking skills related to local infiltration. Kang In leaned back in his chair, very disappointed. As expected, don't have any more hope. He posed another question. So, if you are infiltrating in 2024 with a secret mission, can you forge an identification card? It immediately gave an answer. Certainly. I will request the host to temporarily control your hands. He complied with the familiar command, permitted. His hands typed continuously on the keyboard. Completed the hacking of the Republic of Korea's government's administrative database. Searching for information similar to yours. The young man yawned greatly. The host needs to open his eyes wide so I can gather visual information. He looked closely at the screen. All right, no distractions. But Kang In suddenly became aware of the information in front of him. Wait a minute. What is this? The identification card in front of him had the same image as him. Hasn't discovered the undetermined problem. Information about Na Kang In has been registered. He tried to confirm it, and it really matched. Fingerprints match. 100% match. Kang In looked back at his hand even though the system had reported a very high match. Suddenly, a bigger problem arose. Oh no. How can that be? I come from a special unit of the Earth Alliance in 2082, and you were created at that time too. The young man then typed on the screen to search more. Is there any information about the Earth Alliance in 2024? Ji-in was also urgent as he searched with him. The United Nations and the major countries are checking the information online. The screen displayed an error sign. There will be no Earth Alliance in 2024. He suspiciously made a conclusion. So that means I simultaneously exist in 2024 and 2082. Ji-in affirmed, insufficient information to verify. Kang In began to investigate deeper into his identity. See more of my personal information. Maybe there are clues. The system analyzed and provided specific indicators. Starting search. Name Na Kang In, age 00, graduated from university, former member of a professional administration department. No card usage records for the past 2 years. No SNS activity. No national pension payment record, currently considered unemployed. He was speechless when he heard that news, unemployed. Suddenly, the young man's attention was stopped when someone appeared. Yoon Seo was approaching. The girl looked at him and praised, "You type on the computer so fast." Yoon Seo's eyes shone as she looked at him. "Do you know how to develop a program?" But Kang In responded with annoyance, "Isn't it a bit rude to stare at someone else's screen?" She winked playfully, "I'm sorry." Then she took out a bank card. "My boss gave me a card to go shopping with Mr. Kang In. Let's go together." Seeing that attitude, he was slightly relieved. It seems she didn't see the content in it, luckily. They walked out together, and Yoon Seo was very excited. It's so nice to go out during work hours. She still kept praising. Mr. Kang In also chooses things very quickly. He didn't answer but only thought to himself, "I'm only choosing what the system tells me to choose." Ji-in boasted, "I have selected the highest quality products and it only took less than 5 minutes." Yoon Seo turned to praise something else. "Your bag has a lot of stuff, and you even have a pan. But you seem to carry them easily, don't you?" Kang In was terse and said, "It's light." She suddenly remembered, "You can also make a pan with 15 servings with one hand." Yoon Seo began to touch him. "Your hand is as hard as steel." Ji-in muttered, "Don't flatter him anymore." He replied, "No." The girl thought he was talking to her, so she explained, "Of course, they are not steel, it's just a metaphor." He didn't even look at her. "I'm not talking to you." Passing a cafe, she suggested again, "Already have to go back? Should we go for coffee to have a more comfortable conversation?" The serious young man refused. "That's the boss's money." Yoon Seo accidentally bumped into someone while walking. "It's okay. That's my boss." She fell into his arms and shouted, while the others began to be annoyed. "Hey, if you don't want to die, it's best." They were tall and glared at them like thugs. "Open your eyes wide and look at the road clearly." Kang In also responded with his cold gaze. The system automatically issued a red alert. Warning, hostile targets detected. He frowned, considering fighting. "Do you want to switch to combat mode?" But Yoon Seo cried out loudly, "I am so sorry." Her voice attracted too many glances. "I'll be more careful next time." The two men were embarrassed. "Oh my god, she's really scary." The one with the hair quickly explained, "My friend lost his game all day today, so he is in a bad mood. It's okay, just go on your way." "Understood?" Yoon Seo still wasn't stopping her cry. Thank you." Then they left together. The target is moving away. Safe status maintained. Kang In's eyes didn't loosen their watch, even though the danger had passed. They entered the elevator and went to the 4th floor. After getting out, he spoke. "Are you okay?" She scratched her head, embarrassed. "Yes, I just got a little startled and cried." This time, her uncle spoke loudly. "Yoon Seo." He rushed in front of them. "Why didn't you answer the phone? This is an emergency situation." She was also confused. "What's going on?" Dongseok was holding his head. "The internet was cut off suddenly, and it's chaos here. I called for help but they said they wouldn't come here for an hour." Yoon Seo was also surprised. "Oh my, what should we do now? This is a big problem." Kang In stood stunned when he heard that. He quietly asked Ji-in, System, you previously accessed the government database, right? Could we be followed by a hacker? It affirmed very firmly. With the security technology of the 2020s, they won't be able to track us. The young man was still skeptical. However, I think we should give it a try. It also offered a solution. In that case, we need to check the server of the temporary base. He tried to ask the manager, "Sir, where is the server?" He answered reflexively, "Next to the counter." "Why?" He pointed at himself and gave a forced smile. "I will try to fix it." Kang In sat at the computer and asked the system to analyze. "I couldn't find any traces of anyone following us, but I did discover an attempt at attack." That made him wonder. "What? Why? This is just an internet cafe." In explained more thoroughly. A personal data hacking program was installed. The hacking function conflicted with the security program, causing the internet connection to be lost. It proposed a hypothesis. They may have used the server of this computer room to experiment. Kang In continued to investigate, find out who hacked it. His hands typed faster than ever before, starting trace. Very quickly, he had results, detected the location of the target. The hacker sent signals through 7 servers to avoid being tracked. 6 are overseas, but there is one here. Kang In also guessed the rest himself. They must have chosen an internet cafe nearby to test. So, the distance is very important. They must have come and installed the program directly, right? The system agreed. Correct. He suddenly remembered the 2 sullen faces earlier. Could it be those people just now? The customer started complaining, "I was disconnected right in the middle of the match." Seo stammered, Yes, I will add more time for you, free." He held his head and cried, "That's the minimum. And I almost won. It's frustrating." The girl couldn't do anything else. "I'm really sorry. Focus on this problem first. The customer seems very angry. Do you have any solutions?" The intelligence system immediately had an answer. Provide them with food. The more underdeveloped the area, the more effective this method. It also thoughtfully gave him a list. Following is a list of simple battlefield snacks. Please choose one. Kang In made a very quick decision. Choose number 3. You chose the snack with the lowest ingredient cost. Great choice. Suddenly, he wondered something. To be honest, we don't have money, right? In ignored his words. I don't understand anything. Kang In started cooking so he didn't argue. Oh well. Seo was about to cry and then there was a clicking sound behind her. I'm really sorry. He quickly finished cooking and brought it to the counter. We are very sorry for the inconvenience. The young man gave a polite smile and offered the box of food. The server has stabilized, so there will be no more internet connection problems. This is free food, please try it. The young man curtly snatched it. You think this can turn my match around? Let me see. He poured them into his mouth in a rough manner. But then, the person's eyes widened. His mouth hadn't finished chewing the food yet, but he stopped. The customer groaned silently and then shouted. His attitude changed very quickly. So delicious. I feel like I have been refueled to climb up to silver rank. Give me a little more. Then that customer grabbed the cup of food and dashed off. Thank you. Seo was also curious and took a little. How did you do that? Did you put some magical powder in this? It has to be delicious for him to be so calm. I want to try too. She put it in her mouth and swallowed it. A ray of warm sunlight shone into the young girl's heart, causing Seo's face to flush. She was excited. It's both spicy and there's a little sourness, sweet and fragrant. How did you make this? It's amazing. Kang In turned away and casually replied, I just mixed them all together. He gave back the cup of food and told her, I need to go outside to deal with the internet problem a bit, so please bring this food to the affected customers. I'll leave some in the kitchen. You and the boss can eat it. The girl received it while still being surprised. A feeling of love arose in Seo's heart. If there is a hero in the modern era, that person could be him. Outside, some people were still scattered around the road. In set a goal. We must eliminate the enemy that attacked our base. Kang In put on a mask and ordered it. I know. That's why we must go catch the hacker. Lead the way. His vision immediately changed, activating navigation mode. Numbers jumped up in front of the system window. No nearby surveillance cameras, no outside security guards, no tactical detection equipment. Those things made him very certain. They really tried to cover their tracks. Go here. Kang In had only walked a few steps when he heard a noise. He hid behind a wall. I hear something from here. In automatically started the skill, sound amplification. The things that transmitted into his ears were filtered very carefully, extracting sound, removing noise, improving sound quality, amplifying sound. The sound of scolding echoed. You idiot! If it doesn't work, I'll kill you. The other person trembled and begged, I'm sorry, this is just a test version, so it's not stable. After I fix it, That person got even more fierce. If you do it right, I'll give you a lot of money so you can go home. Don't you understand? The weak person was scared. I'm sorry. I didn't know this was the job. Please don't kill me. He opened his eyes wide in amazement when he heard the conversation. Analyzing the voice revealed that a student was being threatened. He frowned tightly. I also think so. His system said urgently, we must rescue the civilians and evacuate them. The people inside were constantly using physical force. Another word of complaint and you are finished. The young man covered his head and cried, I'll do it. I will do it. The power gathered in Kang In's legs as he prepared to kick, and with only one kick, he burst open the door. The people inside were all amazed. Kang In carefully covered his face and wore a hat so they couldn't see him. The thugs gawked at him for a moment. The young man was crying. Then he became even more desperate. They have so many people. The bald man stood up. What's going on? Why didn't you lock the door? Two accomplices replied in unison. We locked it. We locked it. His angry gaze fixed on Kang In. Then how did this uninvited guest get in here? One person rushed up and tried to stop him. Let me kick him out of here right away. Blood gushed from his nose like a stream. That muscular body fell to the ground with a single blow from Kang In. After throwing the blow, he still looked seriously forward and maintained his posture. A confession echoed in the dark space. My name is On Sung Hwan, a freshman at Korea University. The young man expressed his interest in computers. I have been interested in hacking since I was a child. He smiled with satisfaction. And now I'm so talented that even experts ask me for advice. Another question was asked. The email looked very real. While searching for a part-time job for students, I received a recruitment message. The young student's eyes brightened. A part-time job checking the security of a company. A job of only 3 to 4 days, and the salary equals a month of part-time work. Sung Hwan jumped up and shouted, Awesome! I can start tomorrow. I've never been so excited to get a job in my field. And as predicted, he had encountered 3 thugs, but who would have thought it was a scam? This was not a legitimate company. He had been bullied and beaten up like before. I haven't even experienced the joys of life yet. Am I destined to rot here? I'm prepared for the worst. Everything stopped when someone rushed in. Kang In knocked down the thug with one blow and nearly sent him to meet his ancestors. Those determined eyes shone and ignited a spark of hope. Until a hero appeared, the whole room froze because of that scene. Kang In felt worried. I've just entered here, but I hope this is right. The system explained. Currently, we are carrying out a hidden mission. Anyone who interferes must be eliminated. He was praising himself. I'm so strong. I took down a big guy with just one punch. But Ji-in gave a warning. Be careful. The other two pointed at him. The enemy ahead has weapons. Who are you? What hole did you crawl out of? What are you doing here? Seeing the sharp knives, he was a little wary. Joan, not scared, right? The system assured him. As a special agent, the host's body has been enhanced. With my support, the host's winning rate is 100%. He was added some confidence so he pointed at them. So then? Kang In exclaimed. I was just walking by and heard someone being beaten, so I barged in here. It's not fair for many people to beat one person, you octopus. The blood of the 2 guys rushed to their brains. What did you just call us? You dare to call us octopus? Even their emotions were recorded. The host has stimulated the enemy's actions. The enemy's killing intent is increasing. The one with the hair pulled out his weapon and rushed forward. You bastard. He was still whispering to Ji-in. Physically, we can easily win, so I will also focus on mental attacks. He threatened, but before he finished speaking, he was knocked away with one kick. Keep talking, you only have a mouth. The thug's head hit the ceiling. So, he got stuck and hung dangling in front of the astonished look of his companions. The bald man also took out his weapon to join the battle. This brat. Kang In shifted his stance and looked at the enemy. His ankle angle tilted slightly to one side to prepare. He aimed for the angle, and the young man struck down on his neck. The bald man's eyes rolled up after eating the full force of it. He was the last one to fall in just a few seconds. Kang In happily moved his feet. My kick is so strong. My movements are like a machine. In that battle, Ji-in reported, the host has used a kick 5 times stronger than a normal person. He also realized that, really? I felt it as light as a feather. His system explained, the host's strength has been enhanced. He looked at his hand and guessed. Really? Steroids, perhaps? But that was rejected. Ineffective substances like that are not used to enhance the host's strength. He was still whispering to himself, the enhanced person not only loses ears but also hands and feet. Sung Hwan trembled, unable to say a word. That guy, he's been muttering to himself for a while now. Is he crazy? The young man's face was pale. Can he communicate through a police radio? Or maybe, The government sent him to catch me, a hacker. Countless things had been done, and he had to hold his head in remorse. Even though I'm innocent, but looking back at the past, the bad jobs that Sung-won had done in the past. I successfully hacked 5 million Masis Lowell. Oh, I hacked the Instagram of my bully at school, changed the password for life, and sometimes I also used that skill to do shameful things, about 10 times. Why did I do that? Why? Sung-won quickly shouted. I didn't do anything bad at all. The young man pointed to the door and begged. I'm just following their arrangements. I'm really a good person. Please let me go. Kang-in thought, no one is accusing you of anything at all. The system automatically analyzed, there is a 90% chance that he is telling the truth. He is a hacker. Sung-hwan added evidence. You can check the security cameras again. He was talking to the system. Can you distinguish it? Outsiders thought he was talking to someone. Really? Are you still communicating via radio? Ji-in displayed Sung-won's signs. I have the skill to analyze people's facial expressions and behavior to assess their credibility, and the closer the angle, the more accurate. Kang-in was quite satisfied. That's helpful too. Does he look like he's lying? It affirmed again, analysis shows that there is a 90% chance that he is telling the truth. He sat down in front of the young man, making him sweat. So, the remaining 10% chance is that you are lying, exactly. Sung-won quickly covered his head, but instead, he received a question. Hey, why are you here? He instinctively revealed. I was tricked into accepting a part-time job to check security, and I've been locked up here for 3 days. The young student exclaimed, who would have known those guys were bad people? They have a plan to make me continue to do bad things for them even after finishing this job. Kang-in wondered, what kinds of things? Sung-hwan revealed, manipulating stocks. He was surprised. Compared to the guys who had collapsed on the ground, his eyes were staring at the ceiling, making him suspicious. They don't seem smart enough to do that. Sung-won didn't dare to look at him to speak. They forced me to create a program to manipulate the comments on the stock forum. Those guys came to an internet cafe recently to install it themselves. He related to the incident that morning and realized, oh, today. He was muttering to the system again. So they participated in the stock manipulation plan. Surely someone is backing them up. These guys are just subcontractors. He carefully considered the situation. Since they didn't come to our temporary base, we are now safe. But we can't just let them go. We must face the person behind them. Kang-in offered a solution. Report it to the police. I don't have money to call. The young man gaped in surprise. What? You're not a cop? But he just ignored it and emphasized, call the police and report that you have been kidnapped. Sung-hwan was worried. You won't get into trouble, sir. Sir, he had been using that all along, which made Kang-in uncomfortable. Sir. He smiled, as if not smiling, and pointed at his face. Do you know what my appearance looks like? Of course, the other person didn't know. No, you're wearing a mask. Kang-in explained everything again. I'm just a passerby who saved you. I heard people being beaten, and that person was you. And then I saved you. Then he stood up and said goodbye. So that's it, I'm leaving now. Sung-won jumped. Are you leaving right away? Kang-in misunderstood what he meant. Do I have to stay to wait for the police? He was embarrassed. That's not what I meant. Sung-won pointed to the bald man on the ground. Can I hit these guys too? Kang-in was confused by the question. Why ask? Just hit them. The young student expressed his concern. I really want to hit them, but what if they wake up? I'll take care of that. Kang-in assured, they won't wake up. They can't even do anything to you now. Feel free to hit them. Hearing that, he brightened. Really? Then Sung-won raised his weak fist. You damn bastards. That punch lightly touched the thug's shoulder. Unexpectedly, he really woke up in a flash. The two looked like they saw a zombie and shouted in unison. Several police cars and ambulances were parked in front of a shop in the city. 2 police officers, their faces etched with worry, spoke. Wait, these people, were they beaten? One person, observing the people lying motionless on the ground, said, they're still alive. The other, standing opposite the brown-haired young man with the round glasses, asked, what happened here? His face was covered in sweat, nervously clenching his hands and confusedly answering, those guys, they held me here for 3 days. They locked me up and beat me, saying I had to create a stock manipulation program. If I failed, I would die. The police officer frowned suspiciously and asked, and why did it end up like this? Was it because of overwork? The bespectacled young man jumped, his voice raised, no, I couldn't do that. A passerby heard the noise and helped me, and I'm not a weakling. The 2 men stood looking out the window. The blue-clad man spoke in a somber tone. These people couldn't have thought of manipulating stock prices. Something is not right. There is definitely someone behind them. Ki-young glanced over, agreeing. Of course. The two of them watched the medical personnel loading the patients into the vehicles. The blue-clad man instructed, when these people wake up in the hospital, question them immediately. Just in case you ask them, and they are still hazy from using drugs, and then you miss important details. He looked over at the people being taken into the ambulance, wondering, but who beat these people so badly? He lit a cigarette and said, the victim said it was just a passerby. The blue-clad man, raising his voice in surprise, they're still alive? Ki-young sighed. They only have broken bones, they won't die. They were also the ones who pulled out the knives first. He asked pensively, what should we do now? He heard the question and fell silent, giving his opinion. Check the cameras and see who it was. The blue-clad man continued. This matter isn't so big that we have to arrest them, but it's also not small enough to be ignored. Footsteps sounded, step by step, on the road. The system Ji-in's voice gave instructions. There is a camera ahead, turn right. Kang-in, covered in a mask, walked forward, asking, you are sure that building doesn't have any cameras, right? The system affirmed, I am sure. We must complete the mission perfectly. He remembered the image of the bespectacled young man sitting anxiously before the wounded bald man. Oh my God, I was really surprised being there. I didn't expect them to wake up so quickly after being beaten. Ji-in replied without much surprise. That's just a reflex, like the knee-jerk reflex. They just have special reflexes. Kang-in pulled down his mask, looking ahead, and asked, by the way, don't you have a phone function? The system helplessly replied, I don't have anything like that. Hearing Ji-in say that, he walked forward, grabbing the other's shoulder and saying, then, I have to buy a smartphone. Because I'm poor, I can only buy it in installments. Kang-in sat on the bus, resting his hand on his cheek, thoughtfully looking out the window, full of thought. 3 days have passed since that day. The vehicle drove on the road, echoing his confused thoughts. Right after rescuing that person, I went to the registered address to gather information about myself. When he arrived, Kang-in went to an empty place with no people, an empty lot, right next to Gangwon province. All that remained was the rumor that it had burned down. He raised his head, looking straight at it, asking himself, who am I? And what am I doing here? A dazzling magical light flashed as he imagined with all his questions in his heart. Am I really communicating with the future, or am I a person from the future who traveled to the past? Kang-in stood silently in one place, facing forward, vaguely thinking, there is nothing to investigate, only questions. I have no choice but to return empty-handed. A net cafe, where a busy city emerged. Inside the net cafe with rows of seats filled with players, the cafe has regained its peace, and business has even thrived. A couple uploaded photos with each other in the net cafe, making the cafe hot again. According to the part-time worker, Cha Yoon-seo, thanks to someone with a certain influence, the net cafe has now become a frequently visited place. Kang-in held a pan and a knife, swaying and processing food madly in the kitchen. The special dish only served on the days he was at the cafe. They didn't sell the special dish when he went to collect information. He looked at the net cafe packed with people, somewhat thoughtfully in his head. This random selling tactic has unexpectedly been effective. Whether I'm at the cafe or not, the cafe is still packed with customers now. There were also many cases where a few people came to the net cafe to enjoy the food here. Some people came here just to eat, but most stayed at least 1 to 2 hours. The owner of the net cafe, with a face that was about to bloom, all right, everyone, pay attention, he pondered. It seems he had to hire more part-time workers when the number of customers increased. Dongseok led a young man into the kitchen, enthusiastically saying, let me introduce our new employee. What's your name? The young man smiled happily, looking at Kang-in and saying, nice to meet you. He was wearing glasses, continuing the introduction, I'm Sung-won. Ji-in recognized him and said, that's the person you rescued from the place where they held him captive 3 days ago. He calmly replied, I know. The net cafe owner held the information sheet and read, amazed. Let's see. Oh, you are studying information technology, right? He shyly scratched his head, replying, yes, I've been good at using computers for a long time. If the computer breaks down, I'm very willing to fix it. The bespectacled young man bowed before everyone, saying, I look forward to working with everyone. Dongseok patted his back, laughing and saying, it's great to have 2 reliable part-time workers. Yoon-seo saw that the number was a bit strange and asked, aren't you counting me, uncle? Sung-won, embarrassed, looked down and thought in his head, the truth is, I applied for a job here, because I felt very bad. I caused damage to this net cafe. He happily turned to look at the net cafe owner, smiling and thinking, even though I was forced to do that, with his heart and remorse, I will work very hard. He happily said, introduce yourself. Dongzio gestured towards Kang In, introducing. This is Kang In, the person who turned this net cafe into a famous place. He's the chef here, but he's also very good at computers. Help each other out. He and Sung Won looked at each other, not saying a word. Suddenly, he widened his eyes, as if he had realized something. Kang In was sweating a little when he heard Sung Won awkwardly ask, is it perhaps? He pointed at him, lifeless. You're older than me, right? He was relieved, responding. Yes. Sung Won shyly put his hand in front of Kang In, introducing again. Nice to meet you. I am Sung Won. I hope to be guided. Kang In sighed, thinking in his head, he doesn't recognize me. He put out his hand to shake his hand, saying, I am Na Kang In. Ji In sounded the alarm, saying, working with the person the host saved may put the host in danger. I advise the host to tell the boss to fire him. Kang In closed his eyes, muttering softly. Too strict. Since he's already called me, and I'll just call him On, how will I fire him? Before, he called me Chu. Now he calls me On. I'm also very happy to be working with you. He was walking on a wide city road, the system's voice sounded. Check today's shopping list again. GN opened the shopping list of things to buy. Tuong sriracha, tuong tonkatsu, sot kachua, sot mayonnaise, tuong ot, dao hao, nuoki pi kachua. All purchase transactions have been completed, and the receipts are also safely stored. Kang In replied to it, good. He helplessly closed his eyes and spoke. Ji In, hey, you seem particularly careful about money and food. The system said a series. Managing money is your smooth life and is an execution. The flavor is also important because checking whether the food is moldy or contains harmful substances is very important to the body's safety. He asked with curiosity, is there a problem? Kang In walked silently on the road, replying to the system, managing money and detecting danger is possible, but is the real joy not enjoying delicious food? When I just want to buy sauce, I also have to taste it first. Ji In suddenly gave an alarm, making him stop. Warning, detecting a risk of explosion. Kang In looked at the city in front of him. He asked straightly, you're just pretending to change the subject, right? The system immediately wanted to exonerate itself. No, seriously, you don't see anything here? Suddenly, a tall building caught fire, and a major explosion caused black smoke to spread all over the sky. Kang In was stunned, widening his eyes and looking at the burning house. A series of people above cried out, fire! Help! He wondered when he saw the flames getting more and more fierce. Really burning? Kang In clutched the bag of items he had bought in his hand, thinking in his head, my body has been equipped, there's someone assisting in the battle. His eyes flashed with a green light. My eyes, there's augmented reality technology. Again, Kang In's ears were also supported significantly. In my hands, there are also auxiliary modules. His legs had a magical flicker, surrounded by a powerful magic. And, my legs have been strengthened. Kang In threw the bag of things to the ground, looking firmly at the burning place. A fire like this, I can defeat it in a single stroke. He clenched his hand into a fist, making a fighting pose. Kang In put out his hand towards the burning place and shouted, Firebeam, release. A young boy passing by him stared at him blankly as if an alien had just fallen from the earth. Ji In was bewildered, asking, crazy, host? Kang In threw the bag to the ground, his face filled with resolve. A fire like this, I can defeat it in a single stroke. He clenched one hand and put them together, making a strong fighting posture. Kang In pointed his hand towards the fire, as if calling for magic to extinguish the flames. Fire extinguishing technique, release. A young boy passing by him stared at him blankly as if an alien had just fallen from the earth. Looking at Kang In's action, Ji In was bewildered. Crazy, host. He stared at his hand without paying attention to the countless people who ran past and looked at him with disdain. Oh, I can't do that, right? The system helplessly cried out, if the host could do that, the host wouldn't be human anymore. As he understood, Kang In looked up at the increasingly large fire, and thoughtfully asked, so, what is the easiest way to put out the fire? Ji In immediately gave a suggestion. Currently, calling the fire department is the easiest option. He still didn't believe that he couldn't extinguish the fire himself. I don't believe I can't do anything. He was startled, frowning when he heard a desperate scream echoing from above. Help! Is anyone there? Ariam, on the burning building, was panicking, tears and snot streaming down, crying out, help! I'm up here. The people passing by saw it and were shocked, pointing up. Oh my God, look, it's on the rooftop. Oh Lord, what should we do now? Kang In took out the mask from his pocket, his voice a little hurried. In, can you estimate the arrival time of the fire department? In calculated for a moment and then replied. Considering the current traffic conditions, it will take at least 4 minutes to arrive. Seeing her fear and crying grew more and more, the system thought and said, the fire could reach the rooftop in 4 minutes. If we don't act now, the chance of death due to suffocation could reach 99%. Kang In covered his head with his jacket and put on the mask, covering his face, silent, not saying anything. His eyes narrowed, and he made a decision, saying, find the entrance. The system started calculating the path to rescue Aryam for him. There is no path in the building. This route may contain toxic gas when the host climbs up. Hearing In say that, Kang In didn't hesitate any further and jumped back and forth on each building from low to high, gradually going up. Below, people looked at him, panicking and shouting. Scary, is that guy crazy? He's going to save someone. He had reached near the burning buildings, quickly stopping and asking In to investigate, check if there are any survivors on the other floors. Not long after, the system immediately responded, I didn't hear any movement from inside the building. Most people have already evacuated immediately after the explosion. Having received the necessary answer, Kang In immediately climbed up. Okay. Everyone gradually gathered, marveling at his wall climbing skills. Mom, is that Spider-Man? How can he climb like that? Is he a professional mountain climber? Suddenly, In gave an urgent alarm, making Kang In, who was climbing, stop. Warning, the danger of an explosion is detected ahead. He looked thoughtfully at an empty space of the building that was burning. Quick as a flash, Kang In jumped to the building that was being invaded by the flames. He grabbed the window frame with his hand until his hand was trembling and the veins were bulging. Kang In breathed a sigh of relief and said, my stamina saved me. In, hearing that, replied, you should be thanking me, actually. He asked back in confusion, what are you saying? He gradually climbed up and then leaped onto the roof of the building. Kang In sighed, having reached where Aryam was just now. Okay. She was sitting in a corner, crying with her face red. Hearing the noise, she looked up. Aryam was stunned, blurting out the words when she saw him approach, reaching out his hand as if wanting to help her up. Savior. She raised her hands, moved to the point of bursting into tears. My savior. The fire was getting bigger and bigger. Kang In turned and looked, then quickly helped Aryam up. In urgently announced, this is dangerous, the fire is spreading faster than expected, the survival rate is decreasing. He calmly asked, are we going to die here? Hearing that question, she turned pale, widening her eyes in confusion. What? Aren't you here to rescue me? He gave a somber order, silence, I'm considering. Kang In observed the situation around, muttering and asking In, you said my body has been enhanced, right? If I and she jump to the building next door, we won't get hurt, right? The system looked at the series of people below, looking on anxiously, and hesitatingly replied, there are too many witnesses. If that special action is witnessed by many people will probe the host, and the host will find it difficult to adapt to this place. He frowned, saying calmly, but at least it's better than dying here. Kang In stopped, looking at the clotheslines that were being used to hang clothes to dry. He widened his eyes as if he had come up with some kind of plan. Clotheslines. Kang In approached and put his hand on the clothesline, wondering, should I use this to move down? Aryam panicked, quickly refusing. No, I can't do it. After investigating the entire building, In spoke up, telling him, the lower part of the building has been blocked by the fire, so there is no way out. It's difficult to move. All the current escape routes are unsafe. Kang In threw the clothes being hung on the ground to get the clothesline. So, this may be a crazy idea, but... He held the rope in his hand, glancing over at the building next door, implying what he intended to do, saying, if I tie the clothesline to the building next door and go over there, the system said incredulously. Impossible. Aryam gaped at his words, stammering each word. No, I can't do that. She yelled loudly. Are you crazy? How can we walk on this at this height? Kang In replied. We have to do it. I need your help. She roared. I can't help you with things like this. In helplessly suggested. Okay, when the host is on the rope, I will assist the host in maintaining balance. The system continued when it saw Kang In tightly holding the rope. After the ropes are tied together, throw them over there because I can help the host move. He quickly requested. It would be better if you could control the force of the throw. He held the end of the rope tightly. Hearing In worriedly say, because the throwing action is similar to an attack, I cannot help. He threw up his hands and said, you can cook, but you can't participate in combat. The system continued to remind. Yes, the host has to do this yourself. Kang In looked at the building next door. Too picky. He took a running start, grabbed the rope, and whirled around, aiming at the building next door, shouting, "Okay, help me adjust the accuracy." The clothesline was thrown over to the building next door. It landed in the exact position that Kang In had calculated. He looked at Aryam, saying, "Let's go." She screamed in fear, refusing repeatedly. "No, I can't. No." Kang In said nothing else, carrying her and moving toward the clothesline, making her scream in panic. "Don't drop me," he said in a low voice. "Be quiet." The people below were staring blankly, looking at him carrying Aryam on the clothesline, going over to the building next door. Oh my, is he really going to go over there like that? It's too dangerous. If he falls, then... She was in Kang In's arms, trembling with fear. "Help! Help me, mommy!" His feet carefully stepped on the rope, tiredly asking, "Stay still, don't move anymore." Kang In suddenly asked Ji-in, "At this speed, will everything be okay?" Aryam screamed in fear at his speed moving on the rope. "Faster, no, slower." The system replied, "Indeed, that is so." The system quickly detected the rope on the burning building, which was being destroyed by the fire. It urgently said, "Unexpected situation, the rope is being burned faster than expected." He widened his eyes in surprise. "What? How much time do we have left?" Ji-in looked at the rope, which was gradually being burned through, calculating. "In this situation, the rope will break before we reach the building next door." The rope was being stretched by the heat of the fire, almost breaking. Kang In, seeing that, clicked his tongue in displeasure. The fire was gradually approaching. He hugged Aryam tightly, quickly running over to the building next door, making her scream in terror. Reaching more than half the length of the rope, he used force and threw her into the building. Aryam fell to the ground, crying out in pain. Ji-in looked at the rope, attacked by the flames and stretched to the extreme. He was bewildered and said, "The rope." The system loudly announced, "It's broken." With the words said, Kang In fell to the ground with his head spinning, sweating, and screaming in his head, full of worry. Kang In was falling from a great height. "Here we go." He tried to look around and then grabbed the rope on the side of the building. Kang In gripped the rope tightly, anxiety filling him. What should I do? He pulled the rope, took a running start, and climbed up. He then successfully reached the sign. Kang In kept running. He ran as if it was easy. The people below took turns talking. "Look, that guy's still alive. He's running around the building." Kang In jumped onto the rooftop. He landed on the building safely, but upon succeeding, he was exhausted with a lot of worry. "I thought I was done for." Aryam, scratching her head hesitantly, asked, "Are you okay?" She was shocked, not believing her eyes, and exclaimed, "Ghost." He froze, looking at her. "I'm still alive. Get down, it's dangerous." Aryam was climbing down while also being curious. "How are you still alive? Didn't you fall? Are you Superman?" Kang In replied vaguely, something like that. With eyes as bright as if meeting an idol, "Why are you talking to me so intimately? Do we know each other?" He didn't hesitate to respond, "Because you look young." She then asked, "Are you my fan?" He was puzzled. Who is this girl? Kang In turned away in annoyance, criticizing Ji-in. "Ji-in, you've been making a lot of mistakes lately, haven't you? You said you were part of a special strategic force, so I believed you." Ji-in immediately defended, "I didn't know they would use such flammable materials on the outside of the building." He criticized further, "So you're saying, I didn't know is enough to solve all the problems?" Aryam was walking over. "Ah, by the way." She raised her hand to cover her mouth, softly asking, "Are you the chef at the net cafe?" Kang In was stunned when he heard that. How did she know? The fire trucks had arrived and were putting out the fire. Detailed footage of Kang In's actions earlier had been recorded on video. They were having a conversation below, so he tied the rope to the nearest building and walked on it while carrying a person. Ki-young, smoking a cigarette, speculated, maybe it's a famous mountain climber or a tightrope walking expert. The guy next to him with his arms crossed asked, "Does anyone have any idea who it is?" He could only answer, "No one knows." Ki-young, holding a plastic bag, said, "The only connection is this." The guy was puzzled. "A plastic bag?" He questioned it, recalling, if someone is rescuing someone, they have to use both hands and feet, right? If that person had a bag, they would have to put it down. The guy then asked, "The tightrope walking master left this?" Then Ki-young continued to describe the case. "That's the only possibility." The guy opened the bag and looked inside. "From what I see, this is just stuff to cook. There's a receipt, but it's wet and can't be read." He looked at the paper and made a suggestion. "The name of the store is still there. Should we check the cameras?" Ki-young scratched his head and yawned. Is that really necessary? It's not an investigation of a crime. Also, if this was just an accident related to electricity or a gas leak, it's not the responsibility of our team. Suddenly, a phone rang. He answered it with a displeased expression. Why? The person on the other end complained. Why? The team leader called you, and it's still why. Ki-young also replied, that's why you always delay our rest time. The person on the other end warned, hey, we're in trouble. He casually replied, so? We always have problems, don't we? Or maybe it's not an electrical issue or a gas leak, but intentional? The person on the other end replied, we don't know that yet, but this isn't the problem. The fire department's water discharge had almost extinguished the fire, the other end of the line said again. There was a reported death on the 3rd floor. Ki-young, hearing that, wiggled his ear, grumbling, damn it, I thought there were no casualties. He was uneasy and reluctantly replied, yeah, okay, I will start by looking for the person who was walking on the rope earlier. A moment later, at the public bathroom, Aryam came out of it, stretching and saying, it feels so refreshing after a shower. Kang-in followed, lightly teasing, you survived thanks to me, and now you're asking for a shower? Don't you know shame? She changed to a pitiful state with bright eyes. Well, my house burned down because of the fire, you see, don't you feel sorry for me? I'm an orphan, so I can only live alone, and tonight, I don't even have a place to sleep. He didn't care, responding, I'm living alone too. She was annoyed. You really mean it? Aryam's eyes were sad, looking elsewhere. I mean, being lonely is truly lonely. I borrowed a student loan to enroll in university and am planning to work part-time to earn extra income. She flailed her arms, shouting, now I don't know how to live. He replied, you said you would take a part-time job, right? Then go to work. Aryam paused her tears, quickly asking, how can I do that right now? She suddenly asked, oh right, the net cafe, do they still need employees? He quickly left, saying, goodbye. She tried to beg, but you're being hired, right? Help me get in there please. Aryam grabbed his clothes and pleaded pitifully, can't you? Kang-in reluctantly replied, go talk to my boss, I'm just a part-time worker. She suggested, or let's apply together. He was very uncomfortable and asked, I refuse, but how did you recognize me? She created a cute appearance. I always go to that net cafe, because that's my job. He found it a little confusing. Your job? Aryam didn't hesitate to boast. I'm a popular, beautiful game streamer, you know? Since I don't have a computer at home, I often live stream at the net cafe. During work, our lovely sponsors have given 5,000 won. Thank you, sponsors. Thanks to Yoli for supporting 5,000 won. Please quit that game, please. He asked bluntly, are you pretty? She stiffened at the question. Am I not pretty? Then he asked further, are you good at playing games? She didn't hesitate to answer, no. He asked again, how many subscribers do you have? She replied again, 30. Kang-in sighed, concluding the final sentence. Go apply for the job. Too sad. Aryam was excited. Okay. As soon as they got back to the cafe, a girl's voice rang out. Oppa. Yoon-seo asked and then was surprised. Why are you late? She was curious and asked, who's this? The girl introduced herself. Hello, I'm Yoon Aryam, the new employee here. He scratched his head and responded, not yet. She wondered, by the way, you said you were going out to buy sauce, but why did you come back empty-handed? Kang-in replied, I left the eggs behind when I went to see the fire. She recognized it. Ah, the fire on the road in front, right? Yoon-seo smiled sweetly. You must have been paying attention to the fire, that's why you lost your things. Someone might have taken them already. He didn't hesitate to say, oh, deduct it from my salary. Ji-in immediately called. Host, hearing that, Kang-in focused on listening. It analyzed and recounted. Based on my analysis of the host's field of vision, there's a high probability that many people recorded the fire. It cautioned, we need to search the internet and gather information. The new girl saw the boss approaching and greeted him enthusiastically. Hello, boss, I'm here to apply. Kang-in left, answering silently. Understood. The news was quickly posted online. Fire in District 20, a hero on a rope, has rescued someone. It quickly gave this data to him. I found some live streams from the scene. He was secretly surprised. It has been recorded many times. The feelings and number of comments had reached a high number. Ji-in considered. Looking at people's reactions, it's spreading strongly on the internet. Kang-in nonchalantly said, that's okay, Ji-in will remove all those videos from the internet, right? It quickly replied, I don't have hacking skills like that. He frowned. Why not? Ji-in said, I am an AI that supports combat. Kang In remembered. But you hacked before. It quickly responded, that's only for changing identities. He was annoyed as he spoke. It's useless since I already have an identity. Ji In had a little difficulty. I have military-grade news defense skills. Currently there is no hacker attack, so I can't show the host. Kang In asked further, so you can't delete those videos? It replied, correct. He secretly rejoiced. Great. Ki Young stood in front of the large building. He had found the information. So, there's a tightrope walking master at this net cafe. At the net cafe now, Ji In was discussing, today, I couldn't find any information about the Earth Alliance and the Special Strategic Forces again. Kang In was lying on the bed, watching the news. I wonder if there will be anyone related to the year 2028, but it doesn't seem like it. It's speculated, it is also possible that they are hiding their identity, just like us. He agreed, it's possible. It hesitated, I have confirmed some claims about people from the future, but none of them are reliable. He scrolled through the information on the phone. The Haydock community, the smaller community, the larger community, the news community, the community for the future. Hey, I'm from 2074, but now when I woke up, it was already 2024. Fortunately, I got back 50 years of my life. Who asked, which film are you shooting? What's for lunch today? Kang In sat up. See, I told you this is 2024. It explained, but my existence can't be explained by the technology of 2024. He replied, that's right. The AI being implanted into the human body is impossible in the technological era like this. Kang In put his chin on his hand, thinking deeper. But what can you do? Anyway, this is 2024. By the way, what happened with the building fire yesterday? The news board appeared. Fire in 20 Dong, incident and accidents today. The fire in 20 Dong has caused a loss of life and property. The Megi Fire Department, the fire in 20 Dong, one person died, the case is under police investigation. It announced, one person was found dead at the scene. He was shocked when he heard that. What, did we miss someone? Is this our fault? It quickly replied, no, not at all. Ji In analyzed the case. The deceased was found in the room that we passed when climbing the wall outside the building yesterday. Kang In stopped and asked, wait, so we didn't see that person? You don't have infrared vision or anything? It immediately defended. The R lens is an augmented reality device, not an infrared vision device. He quietly blamed, you're making another mistake this time, right? Kang In was pensive. There was absolutely no sign of anyone in that room. Ji In also presented further, there were no signs of movement, sounds of life, or any noise detected in the surrounding area. Then he suddenly thought, life, wait, that means, maybe that person had died before. Kang In reasoned, what if this wasn't a fire accident but a murder? It agreed, highly likely. Suddenly, there was a voice outside. Hello. There was a voice outside. Police? He heard that and paid more attention. He sat and listened to the conversation. It seemed to be about something to be used for shopping that belonged to the place. Ki Young was holding the plastic bag and asked, did you buy these products? Yoon Seo was happy to recognize, it's that. He questioned further, do you know about this? Who bought this? She immediately shouted, Kang In Oppa. Kang In went outside. She ran to him, saying, the police brought the things you forgot while watching the fire yesterday. Ki Young was very disappointed when he heard that. So you forgot it while watching the fire? Yoon Seo admired, our police are great. They even track down the owners of such things and return them. He responded dejectedly, yes. Kang In calmly said, thank you. He hesitated. Ki Young gave a business card. This is my card. If you have any information about what happened yesterday, please contact me. She enthusiastically replied, yes, bye. He thought to himself, to catch the killer, we need the detective's help. Can I go and meet him? Ji In carefully reminded one thing. The host has confirmed the identity, so the host can be safe when going to meet the detective. She approached and asked, Oppa, do you have anything to go out for today? I want to work with you today so we can be closer. It also considered, it will be more beneficial in the future if we get acquainted with the local police. He agreed, all right, get closer. She jumped up in joy. I'm so happy, so we will work together today, right? He explained. No, I have something to do today, so I have to go. She was stunned. Oh. Yoon Seo smiled slightly. You're really hard to understand. At the police station, there were the words in front. Police station. A police officer must know that he has a responsibility to the citizens. Police station. The police will always be by your side. He walked inside and was amazed. Detective's office, detective team leader, Major of Crime Prevention Team 1, Major Crime Team 2, Crime Prevention Team 3, Detective's Office. Ki-young saw him and was surprised. You're not the owner of that bag earlier. Kang-in gathered all his courage and replied. Yes, it's me. He laughed loudly. You don't have to do this. We are just returning lost items to the people who lost them. You came here empty-handed. Kang-in changed the topic. I didn't come here for that. He was confused when he heard that. You didn't come here for that? Then why? His eyes were firm. The fire yesterday, I think it was an assassination. Ki-young was shocked. What? He sighed. Because someone died, it's really suspicious. We're still investigating. He quickly added, there is a possibility that all this was a murder. Ki-young showed a doubtful expression. What? Do you have any evidence? Because this was a prediction, it would be difficult to investigate. Kang-in didn't hesitate to speak quickly. I didn't see anyone moving in the room when I climbed the building. He calmly took a sip of water. Right. He realized the unusual point and spurted out his saliva. What? He looked at Kang-in and said loudly, so you are the person who walked on the rope yesterday? He had to give a like instead of agreeing. Ki-young gaped. Why didn't you say it sooner? Kang-in replied calmly. Because you didn't ask. He was amazed. That's awesome. He was excited and used body language. How did you do that? You climbed like Spider-Man, and carried someone on a rope, and then walked along the wall. He dismissed that. That's not the important thing right now. He replied, right. Ki-young admired, took out a notebook to write down. Can you explain why you suspect this was a murder? In room 1 of the main crime team, he answered the interview. There was no movement in the room, even though the fire was very large. Kang-in reasoned that the victim may have been dead or drunk, doing drugs. Ki-young crossed his arms. So, what you want to say is, someone burned the building to cover up a murder? He thought the same. Yes, yesterday, I admitted that there was no one in there while I was climbing the building. The other guy came over and asked with a face full of admiration, Detective Park, has the National Forensic Agency contacted us yet? The tightrope walking master also greeted. Hello. Ki-young was helpless. Of course not. It takes time to do an autopsy, but the fire was so big that they said it couldn't be run. Another girl came over and asked, Hey, Detective Park, we just received a message that the fire may have been caused by a short circuit. He then asked, have you checked the cameras yet? She replied, there aren't any cameras in that area. He hesitated. That's difficult. So what now? Should we sketch it? Kang-in lowered his head, asking Ji-in, hey, do you remember the faces of the people you saw yesterday? It quickly replied, yes, I have stored the image information I collected before the fire. I'll replay it. He was silent. All right. On the table, the image data appeared of the video. He was surprised when he saw something. He was confident in reporting that. Yesterday, I saw 4 people walking in the direction away from the building. Ki-young was startled. Oh, really? Kang-in described the first person. The first person came out of the alley near that building. He was holding a phone in his right hand and talking. He had a bracelet on his left wrist, and his shirt had a red and checkered pattern and was missing 2 buttons. He added, the phone case was gray, and the t-shirt was wearing a jacket. He couldn't help but be amazed. You're so accurate as if the person is in front of you, right? But he didn't know that the mysterious system was showing the video in front of him, because I'm describing that right in front of me. And then he continued to describe the next suspects. The second person is. The third person is. Ki-young had an idea. So, can you help us create a sketch? To record this in the sketch before forgetting. He announced. But they're not present, so please wait a moment. Kang-in stood up and replied. I can draw it. He was amazed. You're good at drawing. He was modest. I only know how to sketch. He picked up a pen, thinking. Ji-in is really good at this. Kang-in was about to sketch the images he had seen. At this time, he quietly made a suggestion. Can you take pictures of the 3 suspects and project them into my field of vision? It posed no problem. Of course. The images of the suspects were displayed in front of him. He quietly said, zoom in a little more, enhance the quality. It immediately followed the order. Zooming. Identified. He said quietly. Project on paper, move to the left a little more. The guy, seeing the unusual thing, turned to whisper. Is he talking to himself? He bluntly replied, no. The image was projected onto the paper, making it even easier for him to sketch. All right, now I can draw each person. Each brushstroke was drawn. Kang-in was carefully drawing each stroke. Finally, he finished. The 2 quickly looked at the paper in his hand. The scribbled, ugly sketches, they had to exclaim, you're kidding, right? He gave a forced smile. I just drew a rough sketch. They said in unison, yeah. The atmosphere among the three became even more quiet. Kang In lowered his face, seeking help. Hey, Ji-in, you have to draw it. It warned, I can only move if the host gives me temporary control. He reluctantly agreed. You really are inflexible. I accept. The guy had lost hope. Didn't you say he could draw? Ki-young scratched his head, helpless. I can't help it. I have to contact a sketch artist immediately. Suddenly, behind them, a ray of light appeared like a halo. The two of them turned and stared at him. Ki-young's face was frozen in amazement. The guy's expression was similar. Kang In sketched the image as professionally as if he were a professional artist. They saw it and couldn't believe their eyes. Wait a minute, this. In a moment, he had completed it, making them even more shocked. How can you draw like this? Everyone around gathered, marveling. It's just like a drawing machine. You're a genius. Or is your profession a painter? But no one knew that it was thanks to Ji-in. My main job is being a special agent for the Earth Alliance. Kang In thought, even when you answer, it's still the same, after all. He held the 3 photos in his hand, becoming even more confident and affirming. Only 3 people left the alley before the fire started. If the arsonist is on the run, it's likely to be one of these 3. Everyone exclaimed in unison. One person made a fist and gestured. He immediately issued an order. Verify their identities immediately. Go investigate. Everyone said together. Understood. The next day, at a restaurant, a delicious dish was displayed before them. Yoon Seo ate with happiness. Kang In Oppa's malatang is so good, excellent. He brought out more. Eat more. Aryam happily gave a like. Wan was eating, moved. It's really great, it's so delicious that I'm about to cry. Yoon Seo turned to ask. I heard that the building fire at Aryam's place was arson. She was stunned, saying loudly, wasn't it an accident? Wan announced, yes, the news just said they arrested the perpetrator. She was surprised. Really? He recounted, and they also found drugs on the perpetrator. Kang In, hearing that, thought, drugs, it hasn't even been a day since I was at the police station. They investigated so quickly. He looked at his palm, all thanks to Ji-in's abilities. On the other side, they were chatting. Suddenly, Kang In's phone rang. He answered it. Yes, Detective Park. Ki-young happily said, Nah Kang In, I want to let you know that thanks to you, we caught the perpetrator. He recounted. The 2 people in the photos are local residents. The other one wasn't in the area. It turned out he was the victim's friend. Ki-young added. We still need to investigate further the cause, but anyway, we found drugs in this guy's wallet. Kang In replied. Yes, I've heard. He talked in depth about the cause of the incident. It seems he came to borrow money to buy drugs, and when he didn't get it, he killed the homeowner. You know what's even funnier? Ki-young continued to talk about his achievements. We quickly tracked down the drug dealers and caught them at the scene. And guess who was there? You know the actor Na Jung-jian? It was him, and now the entertainment industry is in chaos. He said in passing, even though he didn't know who he was. He cooked and continued the conversation. This is getting more and more chaotic. He sighed, yes, it seems I won't have any vacations this time. Ki-young asked for his opinion, but thanks to your sketch, we could speed up 100-fold, and I'm also wondering, can we publish that sketch? The newspapers could affect your special mission as an agent. He calculated in his head, but it doesn't have to be completely hidden. Kang In gave a condition. As long as you don't say I had to say it, it's okay. He marveled. Oh, refusing to reveal your identity, just like a hero, huh? The 3 of them saw him say that and looked at him curiously. He continued. I only do what I have to do. He agreed. Okay, I will remember this. I have to hang up now. Thank you so much again. He replied, yes. Aryam and Wan's eyes shone, asking, what's going on? What's happening? He saw that and thought, also want to eat tanghulu. Yoon Seo's eyes were bright, asking, Oppa, what did you draw for Detective Park? Kang In turned away and said, drew a poodle. They were amused and burst into laughter after being tricked by him. You must be terrible at it, so you told them not to mention it. He replied casually, think whatever you want. Suddenly, there was a loud noise that startled everyone, who had to turn and look. The customers in the net cafe were arguing. You spilled the noodles. You spilled them just now. Hey, it was you who fired the gun, not me. Yoon Seo complained, they spilled the noodles again. Wan gave a commanding order. Rookie ready to carry out cleaning duty. She replied loudly, coming right up. Aryam was happily excited, thinking, should I ask the boss for a reward for cleaning up the noodles? She was distracted and bumped into a pedestrian, and they both fell heavily to the ground. She panicked and asked, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" The person shouted, "My hand." Jin-sik, holding his arm, complained, "You have to be more careful." "Oh, my poor hand." Aryam worriedly asked, "I'm so sorry, does it hurt a lot?" He diagnosed, "It seems like it's broken." She cried loudly, "Should I call 119? Wait, 119 is for the fire department, right? Then 112, is it okay? I will try to call, if the police come." Kang In came over. "Really broken?" Ji-in examined. "Based on the movement of the hand, there is a possibility of a broken bone." She kept asking, "Are you okay?" It reminded, to check the injury, the host needs to touch the hand and observe the person's reaction. He said, "Ji-in, check it." It replied, "Of course." Kang In went closer, offering, "Can I touch it to see how the hand is broken?" He was surprised. "What?" He pressed on the joint, and the guy shouted, "It hurts, it hurts." "It has been examined. I have checked the muscles, ligaments, and joints. There is no damage to the bone, but the wrist is sprained." He rubbed and encouraged, "The bone is fine, just a minor sprain." But he was still in pain. "But it hurts too much." Kang In replied, "I'll make it hurt less." After a while, he felt much better. "It really doesn't hurt like that anymore." Wan praised, "Kang In, you're really good at massaging." Yoon Seo was speechless with admiration. "I also need a sprain." Ji-in warned, "It will take 24 hours to recover. Don't overdo it, or the injury will get worse." Kang In reminded him, "Avoid doing any heavy lifting until tomorrow. If you overdo it, things will get worse." Jin-sik felt that the current situation was really bad. "But what about my job? I have to cook in Gangwon tomorrow. This is really bad." She was cleaning while being curious. "Are you a chef?" He replied, "Just selling food in a food truck." He recounted, "There was a filming shoot, so they called my food truck right away." She was eager to help. "Have you ever done anything like this before? So let me come and help you." Jin-sik looked at her with a doubtful face. "Can you cook?" She answered innocently, "I'm really good at making ramen, 2 portions at once. I can even do it." He sighed with frustration. "No matter what, I can't let you serve ramen. If only there was someone good at cooking, maybe." He looked at Kang In with eyes full of longing, pleading. Ji-in, instead of his words, said, "His eyes said that the answer is very clear. Just say yes." Kang In turned his head away, rejecting. "Sorry, but I have to work." He set a condition. "I'll pay you 300,000 won if you help me." He hesitated a little when he heard that. After that, the two of them cooperated. Kang In then asked, "I just need to cook rice and side dishes, right?" Jin-sik happily replied, "Of course. You're really going to help me? What an honor." He recounted, "Actually, I heard that this net cafe is very famous for its food, so I came here to try it. The food here is so delicious that I've been coming here every day since." He laughed loudly as if he'd won the lottery. "I thought I'd learn something from eating here every day, but if you help my food truck, it would be an honor to have someone as talented as you help me. Life is full of surprises." Kang In raised his hand to cover his mouth, asking softly, "Ji-in, we have surveyed this area. It's time to survey other areas." It offered a suggestion. The host can cover the mission expenses while investigating by working part-time at the food truck. He softly said, "To be honest, it's all for money, isn't it? We're the same." The next morning, Jin-sik praised enthusiastically, "Kang In, you drive so smoothly. I didn't know my car could be driven so smoothly." He casually replied, "It's because I have a high level of concentration." But he didn't know that Ji-in was the one controlling him. "I'm the one driving, He was happy and very excited for today. "Today, I will impress the actors and film crew members with an exquisite meal. Thank you for helping me." Kang In replied, "No need to thank me." Ji-in added, "I'm the one who should be thankful." Throughout the trip, he chatted with him. "Have you heard the news from yesterday? An actor was caught in the act at a drug party." Kang In replied, "Yes, I've heard." He recounted, "Actually, the place we're going to is also where that actor is filming." Jin-sik predicted, "The movie is scheduled to be released in about a week, I think." He asked a question, "Can they release it?" He knew the answer in advance and shook his head. Of course not. Who would want to watch a movie with a drug-addicted actor? So, they're reshooting everything. It's chaotic. Jin-sik recounted from his own feelings. "I'm happy to have a job there, but the atmosphere there is tense. They are reshooting all the scenes with that actor, so everyone is panicking." He wondered and asked, "Can't they postpone the release?" He explained, "This is a special case. They have a release schedule, so if they delay the film, they will have to compensate for the fees they have paid, and the production company may go bankrupt. However, I don't know the specific details, the director is having a hard time now. Jin-sik confidently raised his hand, gesturing that everything was okay. Yes, that's director Sun Tae-min, you know him, right? He's one of the top romantic film directors in Korea, so I'm sure everything will be fine. Tae-min was pensively smoking a cigarette. Ruined it all. He kept muttering one thing, and I don't like that one bit, not like it. The guy carrying the equipment passed by, asking, should we reshoot it? He lowered his head, helpless. No time, we have no choice but to accept this failure, damn it. Tae-min gritted his teeth in anger. It's all because of that drug addict. He looked up at the sky and shouted, if I catch him, I'll strangle him to death. The guy saw that and smiled. Director Sun should film this angry scene. The girl came to report, Director, the food truck has arrived. The guy then suggested, yes, let's eat and rest for a while. The staff are also tired. He repeated the phrase, food. Then he loudly pointed directly at him. Do you think I can eat now? If this movie fails, we'll be in debt, and even the expenses for the food truck for a day will be wasted. Tell them to go away. But after he ate a bite, he was won over. But why is this so delicious? His rage subsided. I swear, I'm not hungry. The guy praised. That's really great. The guy teased about the past. They put drugs in the food. Tae-min was extremely obsessed, so he shouted, shut up. Don't mention drugs again. The guy explained. I mean a healthy supplement. A herbal supplement. Everyone around was chatting excitedly. The chef usually had a wrist injury, so he asked another chef to help out. That young chef is really good. The guy instructed in detail. The scenery on the mountain is really beautiful. Too perfect. Try to maintain a positive attitude, Director Sun. Relax your shoulders. The guy reassured the director. Fortunately, the other actors didn't have any problems. Just as he finished speaking, a bad sign came. Director, an accident. Both Tae-min and the guy's faces darkened. Yoonha ran over to report the situation. The stunt actor twisted his ankle while filming. He couldn't believe what he heard. What? He was so shocked that he dropped the chopsticks in his hand. Yu Chan hugged his leg and groaned. Director. He kept apologizing. I'm so sorry. Yu Chan, hugging his injured leg, blamed himself. I should have been more careful. Everyone swarmed over. Quick, call 119. Can the ambulance get up into this mountainous area? Then does anyone know first aid? Tae-min stopped, silent for a long while. It's over. Damn it. Jin-sik, as he was cleaning up, speculated. Oh my god, this movie is really cursed. He then asked Kang-in, can you handle this situation? Last time you massaged my hand, and it stopped hurting quickly. Ji-in reminded. If we stabilize the ankle with first aid techniques on the spot, this will help reduce the pain and support the recovery process. Kang-in tried to think of a way. Didn't they say the ankle was twisted? He approached Yu Chan, who was in a dangerous state. Kang-in offered. Let me take a look. Everyone around continued to chatter. Isn't he the food truck chef? Oh my god, can a chef also treat injuries? He knelt down to look and made a suggestion. I will only provide first aid, but everyone will need to take him to the hospital immediately. Tae-min agreed. Okay, do something quickly. He turned to the girl. Hey, staff? She was puzzled. Me? Kang-in asked her to do something. Can you bring me a bandage here? Yoon-ha, a fellow actor, was a bit confused to be called staff. Me? Staff? The director immediately said it louder. The bandage. She ran off frantically. Yes. Yoon-ha was walking and thinking. Wait, he just called me. She frowned in annoyance. I'm staff, but he didn't know that Shin Yoon-ha was an actress, albeit a supporting actress. Yoon-ha handed the things with an unhappy attitude. Here, take it. Thank you. Then, she left in a huff. She was turning away, when suddenly a shout made her turn around. Kang-in was treating the wound, carefully bandaging it. Ji-in, after reviewing the situation, said, the injured actor has a serious ankle sprain, but it's not as bad as they described. The first aid is complete. Yoon-ha ran over to ask, is he okay? He answered hesitatingly, okay. Yu Chan tried to move slightly and felt better than before. It used to hurt a lot, but now, I feel like my bones have returned to their place, and it's better. I think I can walk. The director was moved beyond words. He stood up to diagnose, but filming is still impossible. Kang-in bluntly said in one breath. He's been treated temporarily, but it will be difficult to walk until he fully recovers, causing the director to fall, shocked once more. The guy ran over to catch him. Director Sun, breathe deeply. The guy reassured. We can call for another stunt actor. Tae-min said weakly, still. He asked back unhappily, How can we find someone with a skeletal structure and face like Kim Yu-chan's, right in the middle of this mountainous region? He screamed in agony. And then rehearsals, damn it. If we miss the release date, we will all be dead. The guy gave an opinion. So, can we let Yu-chan perform the action scene himself? Yu-chan stood up confidently. If necessary, I'll do it. And another opposing opinion. But if Yu-chan also gets injured, what then? Tae-min continued to yell at the guy. He's too clumsy. If he also hurts his ankle, we're done. If Yu-chan gets injured, this movie will be over. Yu-chan cried, Director, the conditions are too harsh. The guy thought some more and then asked everyone around, so should we choose someone from the crew to play the stunt role? We can cover our faces with masks and sunglasses. Can it be done? Does anyone want to try? Tae-min knelt down in extreme pain. Oh Lord, why are you tormenting me like this? Praise the Lord. Even if I have to pay double, no, triple the salary, I still hope you can send us a stunt action actor right now. Kang-in appeared at this moment like a savior. The heavenly sent person has arrived. Everyone surrounded Tae-min, who was dejectedly sitting on the ground. Oh Lord, why are you tormenting me like this? Praise the Lord, even if I have to pay double. He pleaded earnestly, no, triple the salary. I still hope you can send us a stunt action actor right now. Kang-in stood up, and said resolutely, the one heaven sent has arrived. In front of everyone's astonishment, he raised his hand casually. I'm just kidding, but I think I can actually do it. The film director wondered, who is this? Yoon-ha immediately spoke out, opposing with all sorts of reasons. No, director, no matter how desperate we are, this is not okay. He is not a promising actor, nor a part of the film crew. He's just a normal chef. Tae-min stood up, staring at Kang-in. Wait a minute. He completely didn't hear what Yoon-ha was saying. Didn't hear anything. He observed Yu-chan and Kang-in and compared them. Thinking carefully, he actually looked a lot like Kim Yu-chan. Immediately, Tae-min revived his enthusiasm and grabbed him, asking, do you know a bit about fighting? He replied, I know. The director, meanwhile, had two people protesting. Director, you really mean it? But the director didn't care, but quickly asked for Kang-in's opinion. We really don't have time. Can you help us? We will do the makeup, and if it's a bit rough, we can use CGI, please, can you? He was only concerned about the salary, asking again, okay, triple the salary, right? He immediately agreed excitedly. Of course, let's start filming right away. The other two people secretly lamented, this movie will fail. Everyone gathered on the set to continue working. Tae-min spoke up, the scene we are filming. He analyzed the script for Kang-in. Kim Yu-chan is the male lead, and he has to save the supporting actress, Shin Yoon-ha. Yoon-ha, hearing that, was annoyed. No need to emphasize the word supporting actress. He explained why he had to ask for his help. The original antagonist in this scene was arrested by the police. That's why we have to quickly reshoot everything. Then he gave Kang-in the script and advised, refer to the co-star and practice with them a bit. I'll go out so you guys have some time to prepare. He held the script, agreeing. Okay. Yu-chan pointed to the script, guiding Kang-in in detail. So, this scene has to be using hand motions. Script. A bright morning, and hanging this scene, you have to hit the jaw, and then a kick to the knee. He wondered, isn't it a bit awkward if all actions have been planned in advance? One of the supporting actors confirmed. That's right, but this is the easiest job. Yu-chan analyzed with concern. We've practiced the script a lot, so we can't change the moves right now. Ji-in, his combat support AI, said, filming shouldn't happen that way. I have some filming skills used for training guidance. He communicated with it by thinking and asked, do things like that exist? It replied, this method requires more real movement. Hearing that, he suggested to the three supporting actors, instead, why don't you three actually attack me? This surprised them all. What? Yoon-ha, looking at them from a distance, thought, Kang-in is trying to fight with me. I'll handle it properly, it will look much more realistic when it's filmed. The three were hesitant and replied, no, but Kang-in was trying to convince them. That only works if there's good motion capture. If someone gets injured, what then? He said, the success of this film depends on us. Yoon-ha stood, looking displeased. You know nothing about filming. You don't even know what you're talking about. Currently, she was still angry because she was considered staff. Kang-in, after preparing and changing clothes, went to Tae-min's place and called out, Director. He was stunned when he heard him say, we can film this scene in one take without any cuts. He stood before him, presenting his plan. I'm going to start without practice. In that way, we'll save a lot of time. Tae-min's words were a bit worried and suspicious. If you can do that in just one take, that would be great. But is it possible? Kang In was resolutely confident. Trust me, the power of triple salary. Ji In grumbled, my name is Joan Ji In, not triple salary. Then he left when the director agreed. We'll film straight through without any interruptions. Tae Min was stunned, following Kang In's figure leaving. He stared at him, hesitating. Tae Min himself felt a top director's instinct was telling him one thing. This person was very reliable. On the set, the director announced, prepare, action. Immediately, Yoon Ha, in character, was screaming in fear. She was weak and backed away. Save me. The three supporting actors came forward, smirking. They appeared in the roles of thugs full of hostility, shouting in threat. We're going to torture you. We'll show you what hell is like. Hand over everything you have. You brat, hand it all over. Immediately after that, Kang In kicked the door of the upper floor open and appeared. He jumped from the second floor to their place, which made them panic. What the hell? How did this guy find us? In their minds, they were amazed. His jumping ability is amazing. According to the plan, they thought, he said he had to attack for real, as if fighting, right? On the outside, they were still immersed in playing their roles, up. The man in purple rushed forward first. All right. Kang In focused on looking at them when Ji In said, I will guide the host to avoid the necessary places. It displayed before the actions of the man, I will mark in advance the punches. According to Ji In's instructions, left, he immediately dodged his blow, which made him surprised. What? It continued to guide. Right, he dodged the attack of another person. The other person threw himself down and used his legs to kick at his legs, following Ji In's instructions. Jump. He immediately followed. He felt his body was reacting even before the opponent delivered the next blow. It presented the instructions to Kang In again. Now, must grab the opponent's collar to get the best picture on the camera. He followed and grabbed his collar. The guy thought to himself, this isn't in the script. Ji In told Kang In, camera number 3 will capture the best angle of this scene. Then he swung him up in the air, to everyone's surprise. Without stopping, Kang In punched the person continuously. The people who were acting were silently marveling. Crazy. How did it turn into a real fight? Next, he aimed for the man with blonde hair. Seeing what he had just done, he could only silently beg, please. He screamed in fear in his head, wanting to stick to the script. But Kang In directly hit the man in the neck. Seeing him fall, the remaining man's arms and legs were trembling in amazement. This isn't in the script. His mood began to be chaotic. Why hasn't the director called cut yet? Forget it, I don't care anymore. Then he ran to Kang In when he didn't pay attention. He aimed straight at his face to attack, but he leaned back and dodged it. His abdominal muscles were captured by the camera in the best angle, revealing its firmness. Kang In regained his balance and stood up. He slammed his head hard into the man's head, making him shout. Then he used his knee to kick the man away. He conveniently picked up the bat next to him. Then he used it to knock the man into the air. This caused both the director and the cameraman to gape. Yoon Ha was also no exception, full of amazement. Yu Chan and the people there were terrified. The supporting actors were lying motionless on the ground. Kang In stood proudly in the center in the silence of the set. Everyone was panicked, thinking, this crazy guy. Kang In then went to Yoon Ha, whose face was pale with fear. In front of the camera, he stopped and said calmly, I'm here to save you. Even though Kang In was wearing a mask, his charisma was still evident. Yoon Ha spoke. You. Her face was pale and she stammered, you'll let me live, right? Although in her mind, she knew, this isn't in the script. The scream was the cue for the end of the scene. Studio Kukpina, Scene 7, Take 1, Round 2, Date, Producer, Director. Everyone rushed to check on the condition of the supporting actors as Tae Min shouted in the chaos. No, I told you to fake the hits, not hit for real. Did anyone die? After that drug thing, everyone has to go to the hospital. Then, he lowered his voice and, standing up, full of disappointment, I must be blind to make this movie. What have we done? When Tae Min had just decided, we should stop this, a supporting actor suddenly got up. Nah, gang. Seeing that, he fell silent, completely stunned, and got up. The three supporting actors went to Kang In, excitedly asking, how did you do that? I was shocked. I got hit but didn't feel any pain. Me too. This is the first time I've experienced something like this in my life. Director Tae Min approached them as they were still happily praising Kang In. Really, at first, I was scared because I thought you were hitting for real. How did you do that? The cameraman, still not understanding what was going on in his head, was full of thoughts. What was that? They said he wasn't hitting for real, so he was annoyed and went to call, hey, stunt double. The cameraman pointed and scolded constantly. I told you to pretend, but you hit for real, right? I told you to act, not to hit to death, to throw them around, or break their bones. Then, he pointed at the 3 supporting actors and asked, so, what about the ones who were hit? They casually replied, but we're perfectly fine. Hearing what he just said, the cameraman was stunned. What? Now he's just collapsed. After that, he questioned the situation. How, are you still okay? They were all as surprised as the cameraman said. We don't know either, but there's one thing for sure. The orange-clad man recounted. It was this feeling, like having a cushion or something. It felt like sliding instead of being hit. The cameraman didn't believe and stammered, how can? Then Kang In said, exactly. He explained his technique, it's like sliding sideways while skiing down a slope. But he didn't understand at all, thinking, what does that mean? The cameraman continued, turning to the blue-clad man, actor Kim. When you were hit in the knee, your body flew up, right? Did you get hurt? He rubbed his head and smiled foolishly. That? He happily replied, I wasn't really hit either. He just brushed past my knee. He even caught me when I fell. The director still didn't believe that that was the truth, thinking, how could he do that? He exclaimed, no way. He himself was still stubbornly defending. The camera recorded the scene of you guys getting hit, so how could you not get hurt? Suddenly, a hand was placed on his shoulder. Director Tae Min appeared, in a cheerful mood, and said, just consider it a trick. He laughed heartily, full of pride, in front of everyone's judging gazes. I knew it. I knew everything. That's why I didn't shout cut. In their hearts, everyone knew it wasn't the truth. Lies. Tae Min happily continued working. Come on, let's go watch the scene again and check if it's okay. They agreed. Okay. Everyone dispersed. Those who watched the scene exclaimed, the result is as expected. They felt it was perfect in every detail. Even the expression when being grabbed by the collar was perfectly recorded. Yu Chan was eager to give all the praises to the scene. All the scenes are very good, just as expected from the director. The man standing next to him helplessly said, instead of saying I got this good frame. But right after that, he thought it was thanks to Kang In. It would be more accurate to say it's thanks to the actor who can calculate the camera's position for each one and move reasonably. Looking at the recorded scene, he confessed, I was just following the camera. All the angles on the camera were perfect. Yu Chan looked at Kang In with doubt, thinking, impossible. He said he could calculate all camera angles from the beginning to the end. He took off his hat and turned his head to look back. Kang In then asked Tae Min, Director, is my part done? He went to him and said happily, of course, I'm very impressed. Tae Min praised him with satisfaction. Thanks to you, these scenes look just like a Hollywood film set. He just said calmly, fortunately, it was okay. He left to continue working. Okay, everyone, try to learn from Kang In and do your best. Move on to the next scene. Kim Yu-chan, are you ready? He said, yes. Yu-chan also came to Kang In, praising him wholeheartedly. Master, your acting is amazing. Which company are you from? Ji-in proudly said, Earth Alliance Strategic Company, but what he said was only heard by him. He replied, food truck. Yoon-ha looked on with dissatisfaction. She felt completely disappointed thinking, Yu-chan oppa, isn't he an idiot? How can you act like that? She thought the 3 supporting actors were just holding back. They were trying to endure, pretending not to be in pain so they wouldn't have to reshoot. Anyone could see that he had hit them. But they were actually very comfortable and cheerful. It's like I just got treated with acupressure. Right, right. But she stubbornly thought, look, they're about to cry from pain. Immersed in her thoughts, Yoon-ha was startled when Kang In turned and looked at her. If the script says he'll hit me like a dog. His face clearly showed discomfort. This made her startled, thinking, what the hell? Why are you staring at me like that? As if you can read minds or something. In fact, behind her appeared wisps of smoke. Ji-in had detected it and was telling him. Agent. It notified, making him pay attention, I have detected a strange noise coming from the set. Kang In felt something and looked up. Looking at a piece of wall on high, it said, the source is identified. Ji-in predicted ahead, in a few minutes, pieces of wall will fall from the ceiling. It also revealed who would be in danger. When the will structure breaks, the fragments will fall on the actors. Looking at the piece of wall, he suspected, suddenly collapsed. But Ji-in immediately announced, collapsed in 5 seconds, which made him urgent. He grabbed Yu Chan's collar in his surprise. Master. Ji-in continued to count down the time, 4 seconds. He was grabbed by Kang In and thrown far away, shouting, what's going on? At the time remaining, 3 seconds. Yunha, still not grasping the situation, shouted, "Help!" At this moment, Kang In embraced her stomach and rushed to the side. Time remaining, 2 seconds. Time remaining, 1 second. The pieces of the wall were falling completely, making Kang In had to hold a metal bar and knocked it away from the two. A great tremor occurred. Everyone shouted in panic, "What's happening? The building in front is collapsing." Objects were falling from above, which Kang In was knocking away. Yunha was frightened and cried, "Mom, save me." She was crying loudly in the dangerous situation. "Mom, no." He was silent, enduring everything. Quiet. More and more large and small objects fell towards them. Kang In received an urgent notification from Ji-in, warning, "A large structure is collapsing." Right after the notification, everything around was enveloped in dust and smoke. Smoke was billowing, obscuring a corner of the house. Tae-min was gaping, motionless, and the 3 supporting actors standing far away were equally surprised, their souls seemingly gone. He looked at the hazy dust and couldn't see anything in front of him. Shin Yunha, are you okay? Suddenly, a long brown hair appeared. Tae-min was extremely panicked. "Please, tell me you're okay." Kang In appeared while carrying the actress on his shoulders. She slowly opened her eyes, a little dazed for a few seconds, but her sense of awareness returned quickly. The female co-star shouted, "Save me." Kang In, a bit surprised, glanced at her and said, "You're still alive." He turned around and looked at her, somewhat puzzled. "Surprised?" The girl nodded vigorously, her face turning purple. "It's not good." She had tears welling up, and shouted, "Hey, what are you doing? You threw Yu-chan Oppa, and now you want to throw me too?" Kang In explained, "No, the ceiling collapsed. I saved you." Now the actress noticed the surroundings, smoke and chaotic interiors appearing. She suddenly covered her mouth. "Oh my God, what happened here?" Kang In, who was playing the part of the food truck chef, didn't expect this either. "I don't know, probably because of the construction method." The actress looked far away, thinking, so. The real Yu-chan was sitting in a corner, knocked out. Now, he seemed to have some movement. Did he save me and Yu-chan Oppa from those steel bars? Yunha, understanding the whole situation, glanced over and looked at Kang In. "You saved me." He replied, "Now you understand. Can you get down?" Not long after, Kang In immediately put her down. "Why are you shining?" Yu-chan approached, scratching his head awkwardly. "Master, I was surprised that you threw me, so I thought you hated me a lot." Kang In asked him again. "Hated? Hated what? Are you okay?" He was puzzled by the question that he kept in his heart. "Now that you mention it." Yu-chan was a bit in awe of Kang In's power. "It seems like you threw me very hard, but it didn't hurt at all." Tae-min, from behind, rushed over at top speed. "Shin Yun-ha, Kim Yu-chan, is everyone okay?" He was panting, extremely tired and worried. "Please tell me you're okay." Yu-chan turned and gestured okay to him. "We're fine. Kang In saved us, we..." Tae-min asked the male lead, and turned to the female lead. "So, what about Shin Yun-ha?" She was answering, her eyes constantly looking towards Kang In. He was looked at in that way and also looked back at Yun-ha. She was embarrassed, her face reddening as she looked away. "I'm fine. Maybe he's not that bad." Tae-min, hearing this information, sighed in relief. Thank God. Almost. He thought of the worst-case scenario that could have just happened if Kang In hadn't rushed out to help. If those steel bars had fallen on the actors, in the worst case, someone might have died. Tae-min's face darkened, and cold sweat dripped down. If an actor died because the film crew wanted to rush to finish the film during the construction of the set, especially after the drug incident, then this film was definitely going to be ruined. For him, Kang In had contributed immensely. He appeared as if a lighting system surrounded his person. He's a hero. That guy is a real hero. A person from the props team spoke up, asking, "Director Sun, we have to repair the set before we can shoot again, right?" Tae-min was furious. "Are you crazy? What if it collapses again after it's repaired?" He was extremely confused, not knowing how to play the style. "So, what should we do with the remaining scenes?" Suddenly, someone behind called urgently, "Director!" The two were talking and turned to look at the same time. "We have recorded that scene perfectly with the camera." They spoke in unison, to the point of perfection. "You mean, what?" The cameraman was excited and enthusiastic. "I've been running the camera to record behind the scenes, and we've replayed the whole thing on the tape." The cameraman, "We are so lucky, go see it." He led everyone to the computer displaying that recorded footage and pressed play. The screen displayed a scene where Kang In, playing Yu-chan, saved him. He acted very naturally, doing exactly what the script called for, and quickly ran to catch the falling sharp pieces of glass. Kang In proudly carried Yunha on his shoulders to a safe place. Tae Min, the cameraman, and the props team all stood still. Stunned, no one spoke. Tae Min was the first to start. He breathed heavily and said, "Did I film this?" The cameraman, disagreeing, expressed, "No, I filmed it." The props team was sweating profusely, unable to hide the panic. Without Kang In, this scene wouldn't be possible. The whole group happily celebrated solving the seemingly difficult problem. This looks like a Hollywood movie. How can we shoot this scene without even discussing it beforehand? Keep it, we definitely have to use it. Tae Min, with a perverted look, plotted, "It's already too good, this scene will become iconic." The props person from behind couldn't even bear to look at the scene, "But director, I'm sorry to disappoint you." They reverted to the main problem. "This scene is too good to be missed, really, but this is an accident, this scene is not in the script." He wondered and asked the publisher, "What if the audience knows it was an accident?" Tae Min was silent for a moment and then gave an answer. "So what? So we'll be hated?" After that, Tae Min immediately ignored that and thought in another direction. "But no one was injured, right? We can use it for marketing, see? If there's a problem, we can use the lawyer from the entertainment to handle it. Thomas Entertainment can handle that level of trouble." The props guy asked again, "Do we really need to do that?" Tae Min replied, "Of course. How can we waste such a great scene?" He asked about a new problem. "What about Kang In? The person who filmed that scene doesn't allow us to use it." Tae Min stopped. The surroundings only had him and the cameraman. The rest of the people had gone somewhere. He hurried to run after Kang In, wanting to stop him. Nah, Kang In." Tae Min, with shining, bright eyes, spoke. "Regarding that accident, first of all, I have to thank you so much. You saved both me and Shin Yun-ha. Director, I almost died too. Saving citizens is a core mission of the Earth Alliance. The Earth Alliance and the natural robots prioritize the safety of citizens." Kang In, modestly said, "I just did what I had to do." Tae Min, with tears in his eyes, looked at him. "You are really a hero." He pouted and said, "About the scene you saved us, we accidentally filmed it, and it's really good. Can we use it in the film? We'll even put your name in the credits." If the agent's face was revealed to the public, that could affect future missions. Kang In was a little hesitant in his thinking. He kept trying to persuade by using the flowery words, "the airport," and "the rosebush." "Of course, we'll also compensate you extra." Fortunately, the host's face was covered, so that's not a problem. The two shook hands, accepting the agreement. "Just use it, thank you very much." On the other side, Yunha was being taken care of by her manager to stabilize her spirits. "Yunha, are you okay? You seem to be very distracted just now." She replied, "I'm fine." Yunha's gaze was suddenly drawn to look to the other side. Next to her, Kang In was standing and discussing something. Yunha noticed the tear on his shirt. Yunha, concerned, approached, asking, "Are you hurt? Your shirt is torn." Kang In didn't care too much, "Just a small problem. It's okay, just the shirt is torn." Yunha, immersed in the plot of a romance, looked at him with a delicate face. "I almost got hit by a large steel bar, and you were able to save both me and Yu Chan Oppa," she observed, "and, without any injuries. You are truly amazing." Yunha stammered, "Thank you." Kang In was extremely polite. "Helping the staff is my job." She was angry. "Not staff, an actress." He glanced to the side, avoiding Yunha's gaze. "Just joking. Jasmine is better. Troublesome." Kang In put on his hat, preparing to leave. "Because the work here is finished, I'm returning to the food truck." Tae Min was excited after signing the agreement. Okay, thank you so much, even though you're very busy." He followed the direction of Kang In, who was going further and further away. "The food on the truck is delicious. You look very young, but you're really talented." Yunha came close to Tae Min and asked for more information about Kang In. "Do you know where he usually sells food?" The prop guy vaguely remembered somewhere. "They said he works at a net cafe." Tae Min was surprised, somewhat disbelieving. "Net cafe? Isn't it a bit absurd? Why would someone so talented work at a net cafe?" Yunha turned and asked the director, "So, he's only helping us today?" He happily clasped his hands as if he had achieved a great achievement. "No, he has to stay here, he helped us yesterday and the day after too." Tae Min added firmly, "With Kang In's help, this will be the best action movie ever." Yunha was looking forward to the end of year awards, clapping her hands excitedly. "But director, isn't our movie supposed to be a romantic comedy?" The script they were filming was titled, A Bright Morning. A romantic comedy, directed by Sun Tae Min. The script piled on the table. A bright morning. A romantic comedy script. The director, Sun Tae-min's voice, heard some parts that seemed promising. Genre doesn't matter. He glared darkly, but said enthusiastically, if we remove all the scenes of that drug addict and replace them with action, we can solve all the problems in front of us. How do you all feel if we change to the action genre? The prop guy stood next to him, angry with the director, but could not do anything. Oh my god, we are running out of time, so I will hire a stunt director right away. Tae-min adjusted his glasses, looking serious. Hire someone? Why do you have to put in such useless effort? He naturally asked, you just saw Kang-in calculate all the movements in real time and end the filming correctly, didn't you? The prop guy didn't hide anything. Yes, that's true. Tae-min, already having made a decision, went straight to the main point. Time is what we need the most, and who else can solve that problem for us besides Kang-in? The prop guy was also sweating at this difficult question. But he's not even an actor, it would be awkward to ask. He said frankly, it doesn't have to be an actor. Does the important point matter so much? Don't you think he's even better than Kim Yu-chan before? Yu-chan heard those heart-wrenching words and was sadly crying. Unfair. The prop guy was hesitating. But what about the food truck? I heard Kang-in has replaced the chef because that person was injured. Tae-min was disgusted with this person. You are really a nuisance. His face darkened and made a decision. Don't say anything else. I will handle that problem myself. Just wait. Tae-min quickly ran outside and shouted, Kang-in, wait a minute. The prop guy watched that and murmured, how are you doing, Heaven? Kang-in had gone outside so he didn't know what was going on inside. This place looked great and could suddenly collapse like that. He looked around and assessed. Right in the middle of the filming process and right where the actors were standing, no more, no less, it's a bit suspicious. The system's voice and announcement board sounded. After analyzing the image data, there's a high possibility that this loss was pre-arranged. The estimated damage has been intentionally caused before the collapse. Kang-in felt his intuition was partially correct. Did someone think so too? Someone may have changed the structure of the building before. The system put forth a series of analyses. Many steel bars fell towards Shin Yun-ha. Anyone can predict her position just by looking at the script. He curtly responded, okay. Kang-in was bowed his head. Someone may have targeted the actress, or even the movie itself, someone who wants the movie to fail. Suddenly, someone shouted to call out to him, Kang-in. Tae-min had caught up and rushed towards him. Can we talk for a moment? Kang-in turned his head. What else do we have to talk about? Tae-min rushed over and quickly grabbed his hand. He was teary-eyed, pleading in distress. Please, save my movie. The story continued. Director Sun Tae-min enthusiastically explained the terrible situation of the film, but it seemed that Kang-in was not too concerned. The hero was exhaustedly explaining and the hero didn't care, couldn't hear a word, no impression. Ji-in's voice rang out at this moment. The geography of this area is almost identical to my data. Information value is very low. Kang-in saw a clue being discovered, his eyes lit up. I have work in Seoul so I can't continue coming here. Tae-min wasn't the type to give up easily. Seoul. Perfect. He reacted quickly, turning around in circles. From tomorrow, we will move all the filming processes over to Seoul. Kang-in tried to make excuses to refuse. But I have other work so I can't stay at the set all day. Tae-min pressed forward with many benefits, trying to hold on. Don't worry, you only need to come during the main filming times, just like before. But it won't be long, just one shoot. The system also interfered to advise. That won't be effective, we must complete our mission at the temporary base. He still tried to persuade Kang-in. We'll ensure the payment of your salary, the production company doesn't need to save money right now. Ji-in saw the money and quickly changed his tune. However, if there is a large sum of money, I think it should be accepted. Kang-in secretly evaluated the system. Why is Joan Ji-in so persuasive today? He finally chose to continue working. Okay, let me know the schedule and I will come. Tae-min excitedly shouted, thank you so much. I'll stay up all night to finish revising the script. The conversation between the two ended before the building being filmed. The deal was resolved. Tae-min and his teammates were happy to return and quickly started to get the filming back on track. Director Sun Tae-min, annoyed at having to slow down, regained his speed and displayed his true skills as soon as Kang-in appeared. Everyone was trying their best, although all the additional scenes would be filmed at the collapsed set. The director is so good, but instead, a better script began to form. In the morning, the actors and film crew were in a hurry to film. The crew thought everything was going smoothly and also rejoiced at their comfortable spirits. Do you have a feeling that everything is going very well? If everything goes well, then this movie has a high chance of success. By afternoon, thanks to Kang-in's effect, The atmosphere became quiet and serene. Suddenly, a sports car appeared, spinning into the filming set. A figure appeared, running desperately forward. Manager Kim. He ran into the filming set and shouted loudly, "Director Sun Tae-min." Tae-min was sitting at a desk, agonizing. "Manager Kim, what are you doing here?" Manager Kim rushed to him and said loudly, "You're doing here? Please help us." He had a dark face, horrified, grabbing Tae-min's clothes and shaking him back and forth. "If we release this movie in its original form, we will only receive a torrent of criticism. The movie will fail, and we will get into trouble." He hastily told a long story of great fear. "And you know we can't postpone the release date, right? Our company has secured the main screening areas with all our resources. If the movie fails, no one will be able to handle the consequences." Tae-min only responded with a hand signal. Shushing. He smiled confidently. "Manager Kim, trust me, I will solve all these problems." Manager Kim was very hurried and didn't have time to joke. "Come on, don't joke around," he urged. "Just tell me how you're going to handle the movie so I can report to my superiors." Tae-min slowly opened the pen cap. "I will do it like this. I will change the film genre." Tae-min proudly displayed the script. "Starting today, this movie will be romantic and action, a bright morning, romantic, comedy, action script. Director Sun Tae-min." Manager Kim was shocked, again and again, and he was both angry and in a hurry. "What? Are you out of your mind?" He couldn't believe it, looking at Director Tae. "Are you crazy? We only have a week left to film and edit. How can you want to change the genre right now?" Tae-min calmly advised. "Don't worry." He was extremely confident. "We're already on schedule, so we don't have time. I'll show you in a moment." Suddenly, a hand pushed the door open with a loud shout. "No." The two were attracted and turned to look. Tae-min angrily pointed outside. "Who is that?" He was annoyed, scolding the person at the door. "Who slammed the door while filming?" All the dust flew up. Manager Kim had a dark purple face and was terrified. Gasp. He approached and bowed respectfully. "Boss, I didn't expect you to come here in person." The person called boss took his eyes and looked around. He was assessing. "Is that Lee Tae-ho? The chief executive of the entertainment, Lee Tae-ho?" Manager Kim didn't dare to say a word. Tae-ho slowly approached the director. "Tae-min, I didn't want to come here because I didn't want to put a burden on the filming location." The collapsed place was still messy and hadn't been cleaned. Tae-ho saw that and his face darkened. "But an accident happened right now that has made the whole set completely chaotic like this. There is no reason why I can't come." Manager Kim was sweating profusely behind him. "Yes, the problem is, there have been a few mistakes during work." Tae-ho asked, somewhat somberly. "Your job is to prevent possible mistakes from happening on the film set, isn't it, Manager Kim?" Manager Kim trembled and replied, "Yes, but you know, we've been very busy because of that drug addict." Tae-ho was extremely displeased, glancing at him. "How long are you going to keep blaming that guy?" Manager Kim was scared. No, I'm very sorry." At the same time, someone's foot wearing a pink shoe ran in. A girl with pink hair ran in innocently. "Dad, are you angry?" The girl was Lee Tae-ho's daughter, the child actress Lee Min-ji. Tae-ho saw the girl run in and changed his attitude. "Min-ji." Min-ji was worried about Tae-ho, so she ran in. "I heard Dad shout from outside, so I came here." Tae-ho eagerly opened his arms to welcome his daughter. "No, Dad is not angry. Just this place is." Director Sun Tae-min greeted the girl. Min-ji, you're here. Hello?" The girl smiled brightly and greeted the director. Tae-min smiled too. "Our polite little princess," and Tae-ho felt uncomfortable with a cold voice. "Director Sun Tae-min." Tae-ho said with an annoyed expression, "Can you finish all the reshoots on editing in a week? Please give me a clear answer." He thought, split personality. Director Sun Tae-min, "Of course. It'll be even better than the original." Tae-ho said, "Oh, is that so?" Meanwhile, Min-ji greeted the girl as aunt, but the girl wanted to be called sister. Both happily greeted Min-ji back. Tae-ho said to Director Tae-min with a sigh, "As expected, a veteran director from Chungmuro will do a great job." Tae-min hesitantly told Tae-ho, Actually, there's someone named Kangan, who's amazing at martial arts. He has the ability to shoot Hollywood-level action scenes in one take. If we have him, we can save this movie." Tae-ho asked suspiciously, "Na Kangan? Is that so? I've never heard of him before." Tae-ho crossed his arms and said seriously, "If Director Sun says that, he must have an impressive background. Is he from abroad? It seems like you recruited him in a hurry, but well done. Where is he now?" Director Sun confuses, well. The two of them went out together, and Director Sun suddenly said, "Over there." Tae-ho wondered, Looking in the direction Taemin pointed, at the food truck. Taeho looked towards the food truck in surprise. The two of them looked at the food truck in the distance. Kangan is standing seriously stirring rice with an apron on. Taeho was sweating profusely and perplexed. So you mean the person making the fried rice is? Taemin affirmed firmly, looking intently at Kang-in who was frying rice. Is action actor Na Kang-in? He excitedly pointed. Yes, that's right. Taeho was also stunned and couldn't believe it. But why would an action actor be cooking, and doing it so skillfully? Taemin explained easily, that's because it's his food truck. The more he asked, the more confused he became, and his head was full of question marks. What? Taeho, with a dark, serious face, looked at him. So Director Sun Taemin, you're saying that? He asked, basing his question on his own disbelief. You let a food truck worker act as the action actor, and even made a special arrangement for him to participate in Kim Yu-chan's action scenes? Taemin, not paying attention to Taeho's expression, smiled and continued, yes, it's true, his physique is quite similar to Kim Yu-chan. Taeho cut him off before he could finish. Are you kidding me? Taemin, seeing that the boss seemed tense, didn't dare to move further. In this urgent situation, you put an amateur in to be an actor to save on budget? Taemin heard this and felt regret in his heart. What? Save the budget? What are you talking about? Taeho asked a question with suspicion. Because this movie is going to fail, so you're trying to save money? Taemin explained excitedly. No, that's not it. If you see the results, you will understand. He didn't want to listen to any explanations and didn't want to waste time on this. That's really a bargain. The people in the filming set are also starting to gather around to see the situation. Taeho was extremely angry, with veins popping on his face, glaring at him. Submit all production costs, and then shoot here. Don't be short of a penny. Taemin quickly followed and shouted. But Director Lee Taeho, you misunderstood. Taeho didn't want to listen and left right away. Manager Kim, immediately get all the receipts and verify every detail. Manager Kim kept looking back and forth, not knowing how to deal with the situation. Yes, yes. The scene changed in front of a snack shop. A person's excited voice sounded. That's delicious. Minute G appeared with surprise. What is this? The little girl was buying food at his stall. Kang-in introduced the dish to her. It's called a mixed snack. Minute G was extremely curious and liked this new dish. Mixed snack? What a strange name, but it's delicious. Kang-in smiled radiantly. I made a lot, eat as much as you want. Looking at the food in front of her, Min-ji wanted to eat but hesitated. Right, I can't eat too much. My mom said if I eat too much, I'll gain weight. He gently comforted the little girl. Gaining a little weight is fine. Minute G tossed her hair proudly. No, I'm the main actress in this movie, so I have to watch my figure. Kang-in asked again to make sure. You are the main actress? The little girl, though small, was very responsible for her work. Sung-oh was sitting to one side, drinking tea and relaxing. On the other side, Kang-in and Min-ji were having a pleasant conversation. A little actress, but even if you're a small actress, if you play the same role, you're still the main actress. Rest, that's right, you're listed under the same name. The little girl wanted to buy more food, and excited. Hey, can you make me more snacks later? But Kang-in had some work to do and was preparing to put away the things. I'd love to, but starting tomorrow, we have to film in Seoul, and there's no food truck there. Minute G was extremely fond of the snack and wanted to ask for a bit more. So, can I make it from now and hide it on Dad's car? Kang-in suggested a different way. How about this? You come to the net cafe I'm working at, and I'll make it for you, together with your mom or dad. Seeing that she could eat more, the little girl immediately opened her phone. Really? Here. Minute G jumped up joyfully. Give me your number so I can contact you next time. I'll save you a snack guy. Kang-in comfortably gave the girl his number. Okay. The scene shifted into the filming set. Director Taeho quickly wanted to leave. The prop staff had been running after him. Director Lee Taeho, please take a look. He was sweating and trying to save the situation. You know what the director's son is like, right? The director is a perfectionist to the point that he is rarely satisfied with the results, but until he met Na Kang-in, the director was surprisingly satisfied, so this person must be special. Taeho, hearing the good developments, stopped and thought. He decided not to interfere with this. Okay, let's see what this person is like. The prop staff led Taeho to watch the recording of the earlier scene. A dazzling aura emanated from the computer screen. Taeho, startled and disbelieving, wait a minute. He pointed at the screen, the scene of Kang-in jumping high. Did you add CGI effects from that moment? Taeho's face turned purple and he jumped back. And how did you edit those scenes, CGI? Taemin lifted his glasses, looking evil. There's no time to adjust CGI. That's the original video, completely unedited, and I didn't do this alone. According to his years of experience with the footage, Kang In's scene was a masterpiece. The actor had calculated the angles of the camera and moved according to it. Tae-ho couldn't believe it. The actor, you mean the person who was selling food on the food truck, right? He excitedly gave a thumbs up. That's right. Tae-ho finally realized Kang In's greatness. So, you want to tell me that this person could film without needing to edit CGI, nor reshoots, and not even calculating where the lights would fall? Tae-min now had time to explain clearly. Yes, the movie had truly collapsed. Kang In saved us during that crisis. Tae-ho sighed and, deeply regretting, said, "It seems I owe director Sun an apology for my earlier comments." He felt regret and looked at Tae-min. "I'm sorry for misunderstanding." He smiled brightly and replied, "I'm happy that you understand now. If you still don't understand after watching that video, then I think there's something wrong with your eyes." In a day full of sun, the film crew had finally solved everything. Tae-min and Tae-ho were talking. "I will go thank that guy." "Okay, go ahead." The scene changed. It is not known where. A pot of hot popcorn appeared in the film set. In front of Kang In's food truck, Tae-ho appeared to greet. "Hello, this is delicious." Kang In, thinking it was a regular customer and according to habit, offered the popcorn. "Here you are, I just made it." He politely declined, but his hand still came out. "No, I'm not here for the food." Tae-ho introduced himself. "I am director Lee Tae-ho of the company that's investing in this film. It seems you saved the whole movie, so I came to thank you." Kang In also introduced himself. "I'm just doing my job, however, it's mostly because of money." He was reluctant to start a topic that was too convoluted. "You have wonderful martial arts skills, what is it?" Kang In introduced his famous dish. "It's a type of dry biscuit. Try it." Tae-ho looked intently at the food and said nothing. "Dry biscuits?" He was somewhat suspicious and took a bite. "We have many of these at the company's service area, so I don't really like it, but I guess I still have to eat it because of Kang In." Tae-ho widened his eyes. He was stunned. The food crumbs were still on his mouth. He stammered, unable to speak. This is unbelievable. It is both salty and sweet, and it's also fragrant." Tae-ho excitedly evaluated this masterpiece. "It tastes like a pancake, but it's not greasy. This flavor is truly magical." He ate it eagerly. "My daughter will definitely like these kinds of things." Kang In also told him, "Min Ji, a friend, came here and tried a bit too." Tae-ho happily wiped away his tears. "Really? I hope my daughter thanked you properly." He also had to admit that. "It's delicious to the point that it made me cry." Tae-ho waved his hand to call his daughter. "Min Ji, thank you, come eat with Dad." In front of him were only a few strangers sitting and eating. He didn't see the girl. He was disappointed and became despondent, looking for Min Ji. "Where's my daughter?" Kang In, seeing that his customer was having trouble, used his power to search. "Ji In. Where is Min Ji?" Ji In also tried, but could not find any trace of Min Ji. "I can't find her." The sun was beginning to set, and the passers-by were also fewer. In the recorded video, Kang In left the food truck and hurried to find the girl. Could it be that the girl was inside the building? Ji In also checked, but there was no indication. No signs indicating Min Ji was present nearby. Suddenly, someone called from his phone. "Min Ji, child star." Kang In joyfully picked up the phone. "She's here." Tae-ho sensed something was wrong. "You have my daughter's phone number?" He explained. "She took my number so that she could buy more snacks later." Kang In picked up the phone. "Hello?" After a long while, the other end of the line still had no response. Kang In's expression grew darker. He stood still and didn't move. Tae-ho saw Kang In's lack of response and asked, Kang In?" Kang In looked surprised. "Why do you have that expression?" Kang In didn't say a word, turned off the phone, and walked straight ahead. On one side, he tried to call the girl's number again, and on the other, he asked his system, "Joan Ji In, what is the probability of Min Ji dropping her phone and it being damaged?" Ji In reported the analysis. "That probability does not exist. The sound is different." Kang In ordered, "Analyze the previous sound." On the phone screen displayed, "Lee Min Ji, call failed." Ji In announced, "Replaying recorded information." A layer of electromagnetic waves appeared, surrounding Kang In. Ji In's voice rang out. Analysis result: the sound of air emitting from a soft object is being wrapped, the sound of plastic pressed by metal, the reverberation inside the narrow space was detected. Kang In closed his eyes and felt the movements around. He frowned and tried his best. Soft object, plastic and metal, narrow space. There was no one in the silent space. Kang In tried to imagine. If it's a narrow space, Suddenly, he reasoned out something. Startled and opened his eyes. It could be a car. The scene changed, and it seemed that a new day had started. A muttered curse sounded. "You idiot, you useless thing. Why leave your phone behind? I didn't know it had a phone." Minute G was kidnapped, her hands tied, her mouth gagged. The girl was terrified and trembling. The kidnappers were arguing among themselves. "I got it back quickly, so it's probably okay, you idiot." "Then what did you do to it?" "You hit it and broke it so she couldn't call. That's why people will be suspicious." "I'm sorry." The blue-clad person, who looked like the leader, was angry, sitting next to the girl. Who did she call? The henchman only knew some vague information. "It shows snack guy." He added, "What? This girl wants to eat snacks? Should we give her a bit?" They were driving a car, turning around on a deserted road. "Never mind, quickly get the car out of here. Let's go before we get discovered." "Right, I know." The scene shifted to Kang In and Tae-ho. The latter looked at him, motionless in front, with concern. "Na Kang In, what happened?" Tae-ho was confused and didn't understand. "Since my daughter called, you suddenly didn't say anything and became tense. You make me worry." At the same time, Ji-in was analyzing the situation. The traces left behind are the bag and the food that the girl left. Activate the hostage rescue feature. Kang In slowly advanced towards the evidence. He had to find a girl's bag and small food scraps, which were definitely from Lee Min-ji. Ji-in continued to analyze the situation. The smallest details, every piece of the debris scattered on the ground led to a black car in front. The food trail led to that car. Kang In's face was serious, staring intently at the car in front. He ran quickly to leave Tae-ho there. Tae-ho was puzzled and called out, "Hey, Na Kang In." Tae-ho tried to chase after him. He picked up the pink bag. "This is my daughter's bag, isn't it?" Tae-ho seemed to understand the situation, and raged. Could it be? Returning to the place of the robbers, their driver seemed to have noticed something. A figure appeared in front of them, running quickly. "Boss, someone's coming, that crazy guy." Their leader was frightened, covering Min-ji's mouth and shouting, "Calmly report this to me. Step on the gas." The black car immediately turned around. Ji-in's notification rang. "That is definitely the enemy. They have seen you, agent." Kang In was determined not to let them escape. "Understood." Ji-in looked at the road and analyzed the ways to deal with the child abductors. A good weapon can deal with their car. Please use the warning sign. He didn't hesitate, gripping the warning sign by the side of the road. Kang In easily pulled up the warning sign. He carried the warning sign and ran ahead of himself. From the mirror's reflection in the car, they saw Kang In chasing them. "Look at the way he's running towards us. What does he have in his hand?" The kidnapper's leader smiled mockingly. "Is he crazy? He thinks he can catch up with the car by running? There's always someone who wants to do the impossible." Seconds later, his expression changed immediately, sweating, shouting an order. "To prevent accidents, step hard on the gas." Minucci was helpless. She was terrified and cried silently, "Snack guy, Dad, Mom." The henchman's voice rang. "Boss, he disappeared." The little girl heard the news and felt like she was falling. The kidnapper boss laughed loudly, clearly exhausted. "Isn't he? Get over here. Never mind him, just keep driving." They were full of energy, no longer afraid of anything. "Understood." Suddenly, a figure ran quickly and jumped far into the air towards the car. Kang In was doing a long jump towards the car. The boss of the kidnappers sensed something, turned around to look. Unexpectedly, Kang In was easily chasing down the car, jumped onto the roof, and creating a thunderous sound. Kang In skillfully swung the warning sign. He used the warning sign to smash the roof of the car, creating a hole. The kidnappers were too surprised, not understanding the situation. "What the hell? How did that guy climb onto the car?" "Drive on, drive fast, it will be blown away by the wind." Kang In remained firmly seated on the roof of the car despite the shaking. He shouted loudly, "Find a way to stop the car." Ji-in offered a suggestion. "Look at the front of the car." According to the analysis, if the host pierces through that point vertically, the engine will stop. Kang In powerfully pulled out the warning sign. He put all his strength into his arm holding the sign. He continued to pierce through the roof one more time, piercing directly downward. Kang In easily approached the front of the car, the people inside trembling, not daring to drive. "You." He gave them a cold glare. "Crazy guy." The people in the car were all frantically trying to remove this obstacle. "That guy let go. Quickly step on the gas." The driver stomped on the car brakes hard. Kang In, running according to the momentum naturally, was suddenly jerked, causing his entire body to fly far forward. Minute G, seeing this scene, had a purple face and anxiously looked at him. The film crew also knew what had happened and chased to this area. They were all horrified. From the filming set, quite a distance from where the kidnappers escaped, the shouting could be heard. The main actor chuckled as he saw Kang In's fall. He sneered, "That's what emergency braking is for, you idiot." That guy affirmed, "If you do anything, I'll let you know." However, he had performed a spectacular somersault in the air and landed safely. Kang In looked angrily at the main actor. A notification rang. "Success. The car's brakes have failed." Someone spoke up, "That guy got out of the car." The other person stammered, "What? That guy?" Minute G, still tied up, could only widen her eyes to observe the situation. The main actor shouted loudly, hit it with the car and then turn it off." The heavy guy who was driving responded, "Yes." The car unexpectedly crashed into a lamppost on the side of the road. He shouted angrily, "What are you doing? Hurry up." The heavy guy, panicked, replied, "The car is broken." The main actor, hearing that, was a bit surprised. "What?" He looked at the lamppost the car crashed into and cursed in his heart, damn it, you aimed for this from the beginning, didn't you?" After that, the main actor repeatedly vented his anger on his two henchmen. He shouted loudly, "You idiots, useless things, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and kill that crazy guy." The heavy guy still asked, "But what about the kid?" He put his hand over Minji's face, replying, "I'll hold on to her." The girl was frightened and closed her eyes tightly. Later, his two subordinates got out of the car. One pointed at Kang In and shouted, "You crazy guy." He asked angrily, "What are you?" He replied with a very serious face, "I'm Batman." That guy asked again, "What?" Then Kang In rushed towards him with lightning speed. Soon, he was in front of that henchman and threw a kick. The henchman mumbled, "That's a foreigner." With just one kick from Kang In, that henchman flew a few meters away. Having dealt with one person, he jumped onto the car's roof to attack the heavy guy. The heavy guy, unaware, was still casually walking towards his subordinate. The heavy guy now reacted. He panicked and took out a knife to defend himself. Too fast, I couldn't see it. But he was still hit with Kang In's hook kick. Finished, he still maintained a high defense, ready for battle. Kang In slowly approached the car. The main actor, hiding in the car, was terrified, shouting, "Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!" He was panicked and backed to Minji. The girl tried to make a sound to call for Kang In. He looked into the mirror in the car, face to face with Minji, but the main actor still spoke harshly, "You think I'm scared of you just because you took them down?" Kang In smiled and waved to Minji, "I'm coming to save you, don't worry." The girl's eyes lit up. He provoked Kang In, "I can fight better than them 100 times over, you bastard." But he just tilted his head and asked, "What's the way to defeat the kidnapper?" A voice answered Kang In's question. "Jump into the car to defeat him, put pressure on him for a long time, or pull him out of the car." He slowly approached the car and said, "I'm running out of it, so let him get out of the car, and we'll solve this problem. Minji could be hurt." The voice reminded, "Stay away from the car." It only showed Kang In how to deal with the main actor. To lower the enemy's defenses, we need to be further away. The enemy won't come out unless they feel safe. On the other end of the line continued, "I suggest to keep a distance of 15 meters. The main actor pressed his face against the car window to observe the situation. He thought, "What? He retreated? That means he won't attack?" The main actor looked at the distance. In his heart, he decided, "Damn it, I have to get out of here before everyone arrives." With those words, the guy opened the car door and cursed, "Damn it." The main actor held the knife to Minji's neck, making her scared. "Hey, get in the car." The main actor also threatened Kang In, "If you dare call the police, this little girl will die." He frowned, looking at him, angrily thinking, "This crazy guy." Tears streamed down Taeho's cheeks. He was panicked, shouting, "Minji!" Taeho grabbed Manager Kim's collar and urged, "Hurry, tell him to get in the car." Manager Kim could only reassure Taeho, "You stay calm." He couldn't remain calm and ran to the main actor and replied, "Okay." Taeho's face was extremely furious. He shouted at the guy, "I'll give you the car, but if you dare to touch a hair on Minji's head, I'll wipe out your entire family's 9 generations, no, 10 generations." Hearing that, he gave a twisted smile. "Okay, that's what I like." Then the main actor said, "Okay, you." Saying this, Taeho rushed to the car, and he continued, "Hurry, bring it yourself." The people behind him tried to stop him. "Sir." They worried and discussed with each other, "Aren't you going to call the police? Are you stupid not to call them?" "I called a long time ago, but it's on a mountain. How can the police get here quickly? Tae-ho quickly got inside the car. Min-ji. In his mind, he said, Dad's here. Wait for Dad a little longer. The main actor saw Tae-ho's car approaching. Kang-in, in another place, also heard the sound. Providing a means of transport for the enemy will significantly increase the chance of them escaping with the hostage. He replied, I know. Tae-ho opened the car door, urgently shouting, I brought the car, I'm here. He warned the main actor, don't touch Min-ji. The girl saw Tae-ho and sobbed, Dad. The guy was standing opposite him and ordered, raise your hands, put your hands behind your head, back away. While Kang-in was standing behind him and remained still. The main actor was breathing heavily, angrily pointing the knife towards him. The guy slowly approached the car that Tae-ho had brought. He kept retreating. Tae-ho's eyes revealed a bit of worry. He seized the opportunity of the main actor getting close and rushed to him. Tae-ho closed his eyes, ran forward and shouted, Dad's here to save you. The main actor pointed the knife in his hand towards Min-ji's head. Don't get any closer. If you get closer, this knife will get closer to the girl. Kang-in frowned to make a movement. Only a moment later, the main actor's head sprayed with a lot of ketchup. Tae-ho was startled to see the ketchup spray out. Min-ji was equally terrified. The main actor was knocked off balance. Kang-in had thrown a stone. Kang-in looked in the direction of the main actor with an angry look. The throw was precise. The voice announced while he was made unconscious by the stone. The enemy was defeated by a long-distance throwing weapon, a stone. Tae-ho rushed over and hugged Min-ji. Min-ji! The girl had just had the tape removed from her mouth and was crying loudly. A little while later, several police cars arrived at the scene. They were discussing as the main actor and his accomplices were still unconscious. Look at these guys. One seems to have a broken bone. This guy's jaw looks injured, and this one's head is bleeding. A police officer spoke with a displeased expression. All three of them are in a bad state. The other continued, damn it. The two of them looked at the main actor, who was lying motionless, and analyzed. Especially this guy, got hit in the head with a stone. Don't know if he has internal injuries. Call the ambulance and take them to the hospital first. Tae-ho walked to the two people. He spoke, making them turn to look. Why do you have to take them to the hospital first? What good did they do? Tae-ho, resting his hand on his hip, said, my daughter, the one who was kidnapped, should be treated first. The police officer explained, but we can't just leave them here. They were severely beaten. From the looks of it, it'll take at least 3 weeks to recover. Tae-ho was a little bit awkward when hearing that. Minute G, behind him, asked, Dad, did the food truck guy get caught? She naively looked at Kang-in, wondering, Uncle, are you going to jail for saving me? He sat down and patted Min-ji's head. Don't worry, just like how your dad saved you, your dad will help me too. The system appeared and reminded Kang-in, if the host is intending to escape from the police, now is the appropriate time, perform the escape operation. He immediately protested, no need to do that. If Min-ji's dad is smart, he'll know how to save me with his influence. Tae-ho's eyes became emotional. He blamed himself. I can't believe I just said Dad will save you in front of Min-ji, making myself look like a good father, but he's the one who saved the girl. Thinking of this, Tae-ho angrily ordered the police officer, Mr. Na Kang-in is the hero who saved my daughter. Even if he died, Na Kang-in is still completely innocent. He sighed and answered, do you have any evidence of self-defense? The policeman's single question left him speechless. What? The police officer said. We can't say no, and he started to explain, we need evidence, like video from the surveillance cameras or something. Tae-ho, somewhat helpless, replied, but we're on a mountain, there's no such thing. The film director appeared behind him, saying, there is. The police officer was surprised. Aren't you the film director? Tae-ho was startled by his unexpected appearance. You scared me, my soul is still intact. The film director happily took out his computer and said, that's right, and this is my scene. I have something even more useful than the surveillance camera. Come and take a look. Immediately after that, he and the two police officers looked at the computer screen. The footage showed the main actor's two henchmen being the first to attack. A police officer stammered, wait a minute, what is this? Don't tell me. The film director replied, what else? It's a video of what happened just now. He even added, look good, isn't it? The police officer commented, the faces of the kidnappers were clearly recorded. The footage replayed the scene of the main actor holding a knife and threatening Tae-ho. The police officer wondered, it's true that 3 people threatened the child and Na Kang-in, right? The film director immediately replied, correct, the camera angle is perfect. Here, the police officer became curious and asked, how did you film these scenes? The film director excitedly explained, This place is full of cameras to film. When something happens, the camera immediately pans over. With that, he praised Kang In. Kang In is the hero who saved us. The police officer continued. He's completely innocent. The film director replied. Correct, and he tried to appear calm. The system immediately appeared, turning off escape mode. Kang In questioned. You just breathed a sigh of relief here. Taeho reminded the two police officers, making them silent. Now, even if the kidnappers die, don't mention the matter of punishing Kang In. He glared and said, if anyone tries to cause trouble for Kang In even after watching this video, I'll let them see how capable my PR team is. The two people's expressions darkened with confusion. But, PR teams are not legal teams? Taeho raised his voice. That means the officers will receive a lot of complaints about this. Kang In, with Min-ji in tow, turned to leave. He didn't forget to say to the two police officers, it's almost dinner time. Let's go out. Don't worry, I won't run away. They could only respond, under Taeho's surveillance. Okay. In a sweet bakery. A delicious cake appeared before them. Someone asked, do you want to try? Taeho curiously asked Kang In, are you the one who made this? He nodded and comforted Min-ji. I know you're not in the mood to eat anything right now, but try a piece. Sunho watched Min-ji with amusement. Even though Min-ji looks disheveled, she's still cute. The system also said, the desserts on the battlefield have high effectiveness in improving morale. It explained the use of the cake. A dish with a beautiful appearance can replenish energy and convey a message of support to the warriors, but when the situation becomes harsh, it can become the last feast. Kang In saw that Min-ji hesitated and didn't eat, and he said, try it, it's delicious. Taeho looked at Min-ji. Min-ji, you were shocked earlier. I don't know if it will be tasty. Minute-ji was eating the cake deliciously. Taeho asked her, how does it taste? Minute-ji happily replied, it's really delicious. Taeho, hearing that, hesitating, asked her, Min-ji, will you give your dad a piece? As soon as he took a bite of Kang In's cake, he exclaimed, it's even more delicious than the biscuits we ate before. Minute-ji happily continued, everything this uncle makes is delicious. He happily asked him, how did you make it? I want to try making it for Min-ji at home. Sunho, sitting to the side, sighed, I watched him make it all the time, but to be honest, an ordinary person couldn't make it. Taeho was puzzled. Why? He remembered the image of Kang In making the cake and began to tell the tale. First, you need a lot of strength to mix and shake the ingredients quickly. And spices too, it's like a work of art. Taeho was distressed, I guess that's impossible to do. He wondered, are you a professional baker or a chef in a restaurant? If not, there's no way to explain why the taste is so good. Kang In, closing his eyes, said, I'm just a part-time worker at a net cafe that also sells food. Taeho was stunned. What? A net cafe? A voice arrived. Hey! He looked in the direction of the sound. Mi-young. Mi-young walked over to Taeho and exclaimed, are you still in the mood to eat? Some information about her. Mi-young, Taeho's wife and Min-ji's mother. Hyo-rin followed behind. Information about her. Manager Jang Hyo-rin. He was frightened, my love. Mi-young angrily threw numerous punches at Taeho, making him fly back. Our daughter was kidnapped and almost died, and you're still sitting here eating. Minute-ji ran over and called her, Mom. Mi-young quickly caught her and asked, my dear daughter, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? Minute-ji replied, I'm fine. She was worried and said, look, you're all dirty. Taeho tried to defend himself, but the result made Mi-young more furious. You know, it might look a bit strange, but there's a reason for that. She gave him another beating. You, get over here, you'll die with me today. He quickly admitted his mistakes. I'm sorry. The film director and Kang In on the side were looking at him. I guess we've witnessed a lot of the boss's downsides today. Hyo-rin quickly ran to stop Min-young. Sister, calm down. She asked angrily, how can I calm down? Try if you can calm down. She was reminded, there are many people watching, you see? Mi-young, now calming down, asked, what? Hyo-rin made a dangerous gesture, adjusting her glasses. Let me handle it, it won't require the police or witnesses. Taeho was beaten to a pulp. Please have mercy on me. After a moment, Mi-young said thank you to Kang In. Thank you so much for saving our daughter. He stood opposite Min-young, replying calmly. It's just what I had to do. Just what I had to do, she gently said. I saw everything in the video, the way you saved our girl. As she said it, Mi-young recounted Kang In's actions. You jumped onto a speeding car, and then you fought with a person who had a knife. You were willing to risk your life to save our daughter. He looked away, carelessly replying, "So?" The system reminded, "The rescue method has been activated, so the agent cannot be in danger." Kang In calmly replied, "It's all under control." Minute Young looked at him with admiration. "Awesome." Minute G also ran to Kang In. "Uncle, don't forget your promise to make snacks for me." Minute G smiled and reminded Kang In, "And dessert." He agreed. "Okay, remember to call me before you come, because I'm not always at the cafe." Minute Young took Min Ji and left. She informed Tae-ho, "Dear, I'm going home first. Min Ji has many homework assignments to do." "Okay," he waved his hand. "Bye-bye, I'll stay a little longer to check the situation here." She also waved back, "Bye-bye, Dad." Tae-ho and Kang In watched the car disappear. He said, "If it weren't for you, then both me and my wife wouldn't have known what to do." After that, Tae-ho bowed to Kang In again. "Thank you again." He calmly replied, "You're welcome." He continued, "I will treat you to a luxurious meal sometime." Kang In smiled and accepted the invitation. Accepting the invitation now is very beneficial. Sounds good. A girl was approaching. Tae-ho's subordinate spoke, "President Lee Tae-ho, come here for a moment." He looked back, puzzled, and then headed over to check the situation. "What's going on?" The girl approached Tae-ho more closely. At this moment, the girl shyly spoke to Kang In, drawing his attention. "Excuse me, from what I saw today, you can both cook, perform action scenes, and even take down the kidnappers. It's not a lie that you work at a net cafe." Kang In denied her words. "Not a lie." The girl held out her phone and wondered, "Really? No way. Where's that cafe? Give me the address and phone number." In an instant, Kang In saved her phone number and then instructed, "Save it as Na Kang Ni." The girl took it and thanked him happily. "Thank you." Seeing Kang In turn to leave, she quickly explained, "Don't misunderstand, I didn't intend to ask for your phone number, it's just that I have to go through that net cafe, so I'm planning to go there sometime." He coldly replied, "Just save it." Kang In tilted his head, glancing at the girl. He was indifferent. "Anyway, I don't know the number of the cafe." Another new customer. The girl, being looked at by Kang In, felt embarrassed, saying, "What's wrong? If you keep looking at me like that, I'll feel embarrassed." After saying that, she stammered as she introduced herself. "I'm an actress, saved." Tae-ho shouted, "What?" The two, Kang In and the girl, looked over. He was panicked, holding up his phone and questioning his subordinate. "What do you mean it has been uploaded to the internet? Who dared to upload it?" The subordinate stammered, I don't know. From among the people here, who is the one who posted the video of the rescue of my daughter?"